but around 1,000 passengers a week come via Paris and Brussels. They'll all be questioned by Border Force staff and health professionals who can check for signs of Ebola, especially a high temperature. By the end of next week, screening will be extended to all of Heathrow, Gatwick and Eurostar services. The government says that should cover 9 in every 10 people travelling to the UK from the danger area.
Police are appealing for witnesses after yesterday morning's fatal crash on the M25 in Hertfordshire. A 37-year-old man died after his black VW Passat hit a barrier on the anti-clockwise carriageway between junctions 22 and 21 at 6:30. The Environment Agency has issued a flood alert for the River Lee at Luton, Harpenden and Wheat Hampstead. Meanwhile, police and the fire service in Hertfordshire say they took numerous calls to deal with flooding in the east of the county yesterday evening. A woman was rescued from her car by firefighters, and the A602 at Tonwell only reopened in the early hours of this morning. A family from Welwyn Garden City is calling for changes to the law after the father ran out of time to take his paternity leave. Kirsty says their baby son was born prematurely and had to stay in hospital for the first 2 months. They postponed her husband's leave, but he's now lost it because it has to be taken within 56 days of the birth. More from Sophie Solaria.
Baby Jensen was born on the 10th of August, 11 weeks early. The family decided to take paternity leave once Jensen came home from hospital, but say they were told it was too late because of government rules about taking it within 56 days. They say they've met other families with babies in neonatal who are in the same position and would like the law changed so that exceptions can be made for very premature babies.
The Treasury's announced further changes to the rules on pensions. Savers are to be given the flexibility to draw down their pension pot in one go or as a series of lump sums. In sport, Wales are top of their qualifying group for Euro 2016 after beating Cyprus 2-1 in Cardiff. And the weather starting wet and overcast but becoming drier and brighter. Still the chance of a heavy shower later though. A maximum temperature 16 degrees Celsius. And you can get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/Three Counties.
Today on BBC Three Counties Radio.
From 9.
The JVS Show.
With the big phone in, the hottest topic of the day, and your consumer problems. From 12.
Nick Coffer.
With Robert Webb and Neil Morrissey talking about their new West End play, and a very sweet dog called Esther who's desperately looking for a home.
From 3.
Roberto Perroni.
I'm here with a roundup of the day's news, the latest travel, and your stories.
From 7.
Mark Forrest.
I'll bring you the best bits from everything that's been happening on BBC Local Radio.
Today on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Oh dear. I've just caught... Kelly Betts isn't here today. Oh, goodness knows where she is. So Danny is sitting in. I've just caught Catherine Boyle being rude about me behind my back. You thought I couldn't see?
In front of you, actually.
Come on. A bit of respect. I'm the boss.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm going to get one of those things that powerful men have on their desks.
What, complex? What?
It says... Huh? So it's going to just, instead of having my name on it, it's going to say, the boss.
Yeah, you get yourself a badge.
I'm going to hit you with it. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. Lots coming up on the show today. Dunstable stranger still at large. Welwyn dad in paternity dispute. And Maisie found safe and well. Not your best menu, Catherine. It don't rhyme.
The last bit was the best thing ever. Listen, there's some things you don't rhyme. Those are 3.
Gosh.
Take it from me.
Oh.
Let them be free.
Thank you very much indeed.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
You're a bit sparky today, Boyle. I'm not sure I approve of your sparkiness.
End of term, isn't it?
What?
We get a lion tomorrow.
Catherine and I are on a school trip tomorrow. A jolly. No, not a jolly. We're working and we're not being paid for it.
But we are going to be fueled by Haribos.
Man alive, 4 bags of Haribo to get us up to Salford, of all places.
And we get to sleep 8 hours.
And we're going out to a meat restaurant tonight. We're going to go and eat meat.
I think it's just called a restaurant, but yeah, there'll be meat served.
You told me it was a meat restaurant.
It's mostly meat. I think you do get some veg.
Primarily meat is what I would call my restaurant if I get around to open it.
Mostly meat.
No, primarily meat.
Mostly meat will be my rival franchise.
No, mine will be primarily meat, but it'll be spelt prime.
Ah!
Good one. Yeah, you're digging it?
Good one.
Primarily meat. But I'd spell meat M-E-T-T. I'm not sure why I've done that yet.
Oh.
That's maybe too clever.
M-E-T-T.
Yeah, and actually wouldn't serve meat.
You just encourage people to sit around.
I was in High Wycombe yesterday. Oh, I didn't tell you about the meeting I had. Oh, it went well. It didn't go that well, but anyway. I was in High Wycombe yesterday.
Kick off again.
No, I didn't. I was compared to Columbo. But anyway, this is a private conversation. I was in High Wycombe yesterday. When did High Wycombe become a ghost town?
Oh.
There was nothing there. It was empty. There was tumbleweed blowing through, and I could see the spirits of those long departed. It was empty. And I was meeting my sister there. We had quite an important meeting there. So my sister, we got there early, and I'd spotted an independent cafe on the way to meet my sister at the train station. I said, let's go to this independent cafe, have a bite to eat, I'm starving.
When you say independent cafe, do you mean Greasy Spoon?
No. It was like quite a nice place.
Oh.
It was, it was quite a nice place, a bit poncy.
Brasserie?
No, it was an independent cafe. I don't know what more I can tell you.
Coffee shop?
Yeah, but they do. It was a restaurant. It was a cafe. They do food.
Okay.
I don't know why you're making this into an issue.
Tell me then.
So we went to this. It was 10:30 in the morning. I was starving. We went to the independent cafe. Right, we went in there.
Stop saying independent cafe.
Well, what do you want me to say?
Cafe.
But it was independent. It wasn't a Costa or a Starbucks.
Okay, well, thankfully we haven't said Costa or Starbucks, so.
It was. I wish we'd gone to a Costa or Starbucks, and you'll see why in a minute. So we went to this independent cafe that was staffed by two very trendy men.
Uh-oh.
And
Hipsters.
Did they have beards?
They had beards.
Did they have skinny jeans?
Yeah, they did. That was our first mistake. But still we thought, OK, I'm digging the vibe. We sat down on the sofas. It was empty. 10:30 in the morning.
Why would it be empty?
The guy brought the menus. And then he said, have you ever been here before? Well, it's not a Harvester. I don't know. I've never been here before. Oh, OK. And I'm really hungry. Right? So he gave us the menu. He said, we're only doing drinks. We don't do food till 11. Oh, flippin' heck.
Did you say, isn't this an independent cafe?
I was thinking it. I said it when he went. I said to my sister, this is an independent cafe. And then the thing is, I was so hungry, right? And we were next door to a Greggs that had seating facilities.
Oh,
I was so hungry, but I'm so British. I stayed there and drank a cup of chamomile tea because I didn't want to offend them.
You lined his tight pockets.
And then it was too late to go and get some food in the Greggs, so I had to go to a meeting on an empty stomach.
Wow.
So my message is, don't support independent cafes. Support Costas, support Starbucks.
To Greggs.
Go to Greggs. Go to Greggs is the motto of that story. I was so hungry. Yeah, we're not doing food till 11. What the flippin' heck?
Hey, we're going to Salford today.
Yeah?
So Greg's there.
Yeah.
My granddad used to take me there, and to keep me quiet, he used to give me a sausage roll, so I'd be sitting in my pushchair.
Your pushchair? How old were you?
Little, and it was known as a Greg's dummy.
Some people always complain that their life is too short, so they hurry it along. Their worries drive them insane, but they still go along for the ride. As for me, I have all the time in the world. I was born a someday man of a maybe child. I was born a someday man, I was always wild. Tomorrow
Monkeys. We'll have some of that. This is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. If you want to give us a call this morning, well, you can. Now, Bedfordshire Police are still trying to identify a man who approached a number of young girls on their way to school. One of the incidents, which happened earlier this year, was featured on 24 Hours in Police Custody last night, which I believe they also used my voice. Saul's permission. Catherine Boyle has got more details on this. I remember this story. It was in March, wasn't it?
It does. It dates back to the 21st of March when the 9-year-old girl was walking home from school at the Ardley Hill Academy in Dunstable. I should just say there should be some audio in here. Have we got that?
No.
Danny, can you have a look for us? And I'll talk slowly. So this 9-year-old girl was walking home from school at the Ardley Hill Academy in Dunstable when she was approached by a man who tried to get her into his car. This was the first of a number of similar incidents around that area of Dunstable and also Leighton Buzzard, which police are now believing are linked. The latest case we know about was again back in that area surrounding the Ardley Hill Academy in September, and on that occasion a 9-year-old boy was approached, which prompted the head teacher Jonathan Smith to advise parents to make sure their children weren't walking to and from school on their own. He was keen not to frighten people but said it was a sensible precaution.
OK, so what's happened since then?
Well, an arrest was made in connection to this series of approaches, but police believe they haven't got their man yet. They say it's still an open investigation and they're asking anyone with information to come forward.
But this is still going on, isn't it? Because the last approach was only last month. Parents must be very worried by all of this.
Well, let's hear from them now. These parents at Ardley Hill Academy spoke to our reporter Tony Fisher yesterday about the response by police and the school itself.
Since all the incidents, I have noticed an increase of police presence in the school hours. So again, that helps. I mean, it's sort of, that they're just round the corner if we need them and stuff, So, and the schools, they're sending out lots of emails as well, just to make sure that we're aware. And obviously a lot of the older kids make sure they go home in more than twos and, stuff like that. So I just think between us all, if we all are extra vigilant and just keep an eye on our children, then hopefully there'll be less abductions, so...
But I don't think any child has actually been abducted, have they?
No, they've just attempted. I think there's been quite a few in the area, but no, I don't believe any child has been abducted as of yet. So it's just a case of down to everyone, really. Just keep an eye out, and anything suspicious, just call the police.
I always make sure I wait until the kids are in the classroom, and I'm always here, like I say, I'm here early, and I'm always there for when they come out. And if I'm going to be late, I always make sure that this school's quite good. They don't let the children out. If you're not there, they get sent back inside, so I'm not really too worried because I know the school are probably on it.
Obviously it is very, very scary, and there was time last term where it just seemed to be every few weeks there was another case of a child that had been approached or something like that. So yes, it does worry me, it does scare me, and I just think it's happening so much more. You just think, is it getting worse and worse? Why is it getting worse? But at the moment my little girl's only 4, so I'm always walking her to school anyway, but I do feel like I will never ever be able to let her walk to school by herself, which is a horrible thought, really.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
A very good morning, and so far checking the cameras across the 3 counties seems to be moving rather well on the M1 and the A1M, not seeing any major problems or delays at the moment. Expect some delays on the M25 between junction 25 for Enfield and junction 27 for the M11 as those major roadworks are continuing. So far checking on the trains, everything seems to be running to time, no reported problems or delays. Nicola Richards, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Nicola. 6:15. It is Tuesday, the 14th of October. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Bedfordshire Police say they're still trying to identify a man who approached young girls on their way to school. The incidents, which happened earlier this year, featured last night on Channel 4's 24 Hours in Police Custody. The first screening of passengers arriving in the UK for possible symptoms of Ebola will begin at Heathrow this morning. And a family from Welwyn Garden City is calling for changes to the law after their baby son was born prematurely and had to stay in hospital, meaning the dad ran out of time to take paternity leave.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Who's going to sing for the unsung heroes?
There were golds galore in Glasgow.
Commonwealth Games as a whole was an amazing experience, and to bring back the amount of medals that we did was amazing.
Well, what a performance! But once again, we also want to celebrate our unsung sporting heroes this year.
She's an amazing coach who really, really inspires us.
So who will you nominate?
She understands how we feel and everything.
We're looking for someone who's made their contribution for no reward, but had the enjoyment of seeing sport flourish in our local communities. To make your nomination, go to bbc.co.uk/unsung hero and download a form. The closing date is the 20th of October, with our 2014 Unsung Hero announced at this year's BBC Sports Personality of the Year.
You can't bottle it.
Get inspired and get nominating.
Am I the only person that thinks unsung heroes are sung about all the time? Unsung heroes are sung about more than sung heroes. You can't go anywhere with the brave ball boys and girls of Wimbledon being praised. We're always singing about unsung heroes. We should sing for the sung heroes because they're now...
They're being ignored.
They're the unsung heroes.
Yeah, whoever hears about Mo Farah these days.
Yeah, exactly. Mo Farah, the lady that did a poo-poo when she was running the marathon, and the Scots tennis man. They're the unsung heroes that we should be singing about.
Gosh, I'd completely forgotten about them.
You see?
The punch. When big desire is the fire in the eyes of chicks whose sickness is the games they play, and when the masquerade is played, the neighbor folks make jokes at who is most to blame today. And then along comes Mary, and does she want to set him free or let him see reality from where she got a name? Struggle much when told that such a tender touch of hers will make them not the same. When we met on the shore out to lunch, now my empty cup is as sweet as the punch. Is as sweet as the punch. Sweet as the punch. Sweet as the punch. Sweet as the punch. Sweet as the punch.
08459 455 555 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call. Now, a new dad from Welwyn Garden City has lost his entitlement to paternity leave because he wanted to take it once his premature baby was home from hospital. Well, the little boy was born 11 weeks early and was very poorly. So his parents thought they'd save their leave until they could all be at home together. But Dad's bosses had other ideas and insist that any paternity leave should have been taken within 56 days of the birth. Well, the dad is still in dispute with the company, but we'll be speaking to the mum later on in the programme. Joining me now, though, is Danny Beales, the Senior Campaigns Officer at the premature baby charity Bliss. Morning, Danny.
Good morning.
So, what happens when a premature baby is born? Do the laws of maternity and paternity not vary due to the circumstances?
Well, no, unfortunately not.
unfortunately, the same rules apply to all parents, and as this case demonstrates, really those rules can really not suit these parents. Around 80,000 babies are born each and every year, premature or sick, and unlike in most cases, after a day or two, the baby will go home with mum and dad, and that'll be great. But in these cases, babies can be in hospital for weeks, if not months, and maternity leave will start from day one, and dads will face a difficult decision whether to take their 1 or 2 weeks leave, either while their baby is sick in hospital or wait for that baby to go home, and that's a very difficult decision. And these rules complicate things further.
So he can't. So there is no kind of movement on that. If the baby is born prematurely and is in hospital for 2 months, say, you can't take the paternity leave when he comes home, 2 months after he's born. You've got to take it, if you want it, from the moment that he pops out, so to speak.
Well, you have to take paternity leave within the first 56 days
right, okay,
of birth.
Sorry.
Yeah, and then there's also, if you want to change your agreed paternity leave pattern, I think there's also a notice period which employers are entitled to, which I think is around 28 days. So these are quite prescriptive, obviously quite unflexible when parents are going through a difficult time, which they didn't often expect. The baby's critically ill. They don't know what's going to happen day to day, if their baby's going to get sicker or better. And actually, Bliss spoke to around 1,300 parents recently as part of our new campaign, and 70% of dads had exhausted their paternity leave while their baby was still in hospital in the neonatal unit. They had to go back to work. Many ended up having to be signed off sick. 10%, I think, told us. Mums, as I say, their leave starts from day one, and lots of them will see weeks or months be lost before their baby's at home, and that means less time at home to spend with their baby, like most parents would rightly expect.
Bliss are currently campaigning for extended paternity leave. What's that all about? Tell us about the campaign.
Yeah, well, I think as this case highlights, we think there are specific needs and issues that these parents have. This isn't like a normal birth. It's valuable for parents to be there with their baby. It's vitally important that mums are there to breastfeed. Breast milk is vitally important for these babies. And it's important that mum and dad are there to bond with their baby, to be there. And obviously, all parents want to be there when their child's critically ill. So what we're asking for is, like a number of other countries, for additional flexibility from the government, for them to look at the parental leave system again and extend maternity leave and statutory maternity pay for these parents, particularly those who are in hospital for long periods. And then secondly, for the government to publish guidance for employers, so there isn't this confusion that's happened in this particular case, that employers have clear policies and parents know where they stand.
If people want to find out more about Bliss and the work that you do for premature babies and their families, how do they get in touch, Danny?
Well, they can visit our website, which is bliss.org.uk, and our campaign's clearly on there, and they can get in touch with us if they've experienced similar problems as well.
Excellent stuff, Danny. Thank you very much for talking at this ridiculous time in the morning. And it is a ridiculous time. Danny Beals there from Premature Baby Charity Bliss. It is a ridiculous time, Catherine. It was so hard this morning when I woke up. It was so hard to get up out of bed. I couldn't do it.
You know why?
But why?
It's getting darker.
It was freezing this morning. I popped up for a wee about 1:30. Oh, it was cold! It was cold. Not the urine. I'm assuming that was body temperature. I didn't check it like I normally do. But it was cold. I dashed to the loo. I dashed back. I kicked the cat off the bed. Wallop!
Well, thanks for that little insight into what...
And even when my radio alarm went off and the voice of one of the most obnoxious radio presenters in the world was speaking to me, that nauseating, awful sound emanating from his putrid lips wasn't enough to get me out of bed.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't enough to get me out of bed.
That really is a very sleepy head you got.
Should we have some of this?
murder Iain Lee. Hell Miss.
How good does this sound? Right, after the show, we're all going to jump in the branded vehicle. You, Danny, you, Catherine, Justin. We're driving round to Hearts. We're putting bricks through the windows, then we're driving off again. Yeah, guys? Oh, in your face commercial.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Starting to build up on the approaches on the Great North Road to the Black Cat roundabout, where those major roadworks are continuing. In Letchworth, electricity works taking place on Norton Way South, just at Baldock Road, so do expect some delays around there. The A414 building a little around the Park Street roundabout on the speed sensors this morning. And so far, no reported problems on the trains. Nicola Richards, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Nicola. Speaking of putting bricks through windows, who knows the story about when John Lennon drove to Paul McCartney's house in his Rolls Royce and George jumped out and chucked a brick through Macca's window? Anyone know about that? Guys?
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 6:30, I'm Simon Oxley. Bedfordshire Police say they're still trying to identify a man who approached young girls on their way to school. The incident, which happened earlier this year, featured last night on Channel 4's 24 Hours in Police Custody. The first screening of passengers arriving in the UK for possible symptoms of Ebola will begin at Heathrow this morning. Police are appealing for witnesses after yesterday morning's fatal crash on the M25 in Hertfordshire. A 37-year-old man died after his black VW Passat hit a barrier on the anti-clockwise carriageway between junctions 22 and 21 at 6:30. And a family from Welwyn Garden City is calling for changes to the law after their baby son was born prematurely and had to stay in hospital, meaning the dad ran out of time to take paternity leave.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Wales are top of their qualifying group for Euro 2016 after beating Cyprus 2-1 in Cardiff. Real Madrid star Gareth Bale says the Welsh are in good form.
We knew Bosnia was going to be a difficult game, and they're a very good team, which a point is a good result. And yeah, we definitely thought we could beat Cyprus tonight. Obviously difficult circumstances, but we got the job done, which is the most important thing. And maybe in different campaigns we wouldn't have won tonight.
Holland followed Germany and Spain in suffering unexpected defeats in the latest round of matches. The Dutch were beaten 2-0 in Iceland. Elsewhere, Watford duo Matej Vydra and Daniel Pudil were unused subs as the Czech Republic won 4-2 in Kazakhstan. And MK Dons duo Will Grigg and Ben Reeves are with the Northern Ireland squad in Greece for their match tonight. Also tonight, Scotland are away to Poland. The Republic of Ireland are away to world champions Germany. Boreham Wood are through to the FA Cup fourth qualifying round after a 1-0 replay win at home to Frome last night. The Hertfordshire side will travel to Woking in the next round. And in Rugby League, Wigan's Ben Flower faces a minimum 8-game ban after twice punching a St Helens player in Saturday's Super League Grand Final. He faces a disciplinary hearing tonight. There has been debate about whether it should become a police matter. Hemel Stags coach Troy Perkins says punishment from the Rugby League authorities should be enough.
It's poor by Ben Flower, but I think you're opening up a can of worms if you start bringing police involved. It's a contact sport, and some things, that happen on the field maybe shouldn't happen. But to take it outside the field is, if you let the judiciary deal with it, he's going to get a big ban. And as I said, he's paid the ultimate price.
BBC Three Counties News and Sport. The next full bulletin is at 7.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Just for legal reasons, I have to say, when I was talking about the brick through the window, it was John Lennon that threw the brick through the window, not George Harrison. But they all drove round there in the John Lennon's Rolls Royce. John Lennon hopped over a fence. They wanted to have a fight with McCartney. This is true, 1969. They wanted to have a fight with McCartney. He either wouldn't open the door or wasn't in, so John Lennon climbed over the wall and lobbed a brick through the window. Ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles.
That's known as Liverpool rules, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm just typing this on Twitter to make it a fact.
I'm just looking at the front page of The Sun.
Oh, yeah,
Your mate Ziz.
Oh, dear.
What is she doing to that sheepskin rug?
She's I don't I've got to watch my tongue, because we know that your kids listen to this show now. Maybe we've been a little bit
They won't be listening for half an hour.
Oh, in that case, anyway, right. No.
Anyway, yeah, so
there's not a lot in the papers today,
there
if I'm
isn't
completely
really.
honest.
That's lots of boobs on 2 different pages.
Hey,
so there's some boobs, which kind of suggests that there isn't an awful lot else going on.
I did find something.
Oh, good news for fans of Kim Jong-il. He's not.
No, Kim Jong-il's dead, mate.
Oh, Kim Jong-un. Yeah, he's
Jong-un.
quite ill. He's made his first public appearance in September the 3rd.
We all thought he was dead.
We thought he'd overdosed on cheese.
No.
The tyrant, son of dead dictator Kim Jong-il...
That's the fella.
...turned up at a housing development after last being seen in public at a concert on September the 3rd. He's probably been on his holidays.
Yeah.
This disappearance sparked speculation about his health, including reports he had everything from gout to a brain hemorrhage. Some people said his sister had replaced him.
He's had a gastric band in China. That's what I read in one of the newspapers. That's what I thought.
They just keep making up the most ridiculous rumours to try and make him sound less dangerous. Hey guys, he's still quite dangerous.
I would love to go to North Korea. I've said this before. I would love to go, and you can book holidays to North Korea.
Whether you come back or not is another matter.
Well, that's another matter, isn't it? That's another matter. I wonder how much a holiday to North Korea is. You do something while I'll do this. How much is a hollybobs to North Korea?
In The Sun, there's a double-page spread on the new recruits of The Apprentice. Is anyone going to be watching that? I think I know how it'll go. I think I'll leave it.
I'm bored of The Apprentice now. I'm bored of all of that nonsense. Hey, look at the brochure. It looks good, doesn't it? It looks beautiful.
If you like big, pointy statues, yeah.
That looks beautiful. How much is it going to cost me, though? That's £1,200 for a 6-day tour. Christmas in North Korea. Oh, my gosh. That's amazing. Christmas in North Korea, £1,200 for a 6-day tour.
No cameras.
No. A June, North Korea short break, £1,100. Oh, mate, we've got to go. We have got to go to North Korea. It looks beautiful. Look at that.
Yeah, but they will show you the nice pictures, won't they?
Look at that. That's stunning.
That's kind of the point of North Korea.
You expect it to, look like Soviet Russia in the 1970s.
It might look like Soviet Russia. Those photos never make it out.
I sent you the footage of the pornographic dancing from Bob the Builder.
Wow, not Bob the Builder. Postman Pat.
Sorry, yeah,
Bob the Builder dances in a purely innocent fashion.
Wasn't it vulgar? That film was terrible.
I don't really know how else you could interpret that dance apart from...
There's a boy dancing on the Postman Pat movie on the X Factor, and he flaps his hand in front of his leg to imply that something's blowing in the wind.
Yes.
Either that or he's dropped one and he's whacking. But it was horrible. Anyway, there's a furore now about new Bob the Builder.
Oh.
He's been...
Yeah, they've changed him.
Have you seen him?
Yeah.
Well, that's not Bob the Builder. That's actually a bloke.
Yeah, he doesn't look like a cute little person anymore.
Oh, to a generation of TV viewers, he's the man who can fix just about anything. But now Bob the Builder himself has been renovated. Oh, dear. Oh, fans on Facebook say he looks like he might vote to UKIP.
What?
Well, this is to sell it in the States, isn't it? This is to sell it in the States. And they got rid of Morrissey.
Why don't they like cute? Why don't they like cute little builder men in the States?
Well, I don't know. Mariah Carey. Now, Mariah Carey has got a wonky face.
Well, yes, she'll only sit on one side of the camera.
She'll only sit on one side of the camera, but she has. I've got a lot of time for Mariah Carey. Can you sing 7 octaves? No, I don't think so. Are you hot and mental at the same time?
Right, I know that she can sing 7 octaves. Does she have to do that in every single song? That's all I'm saying. Sometimes it's very hard to pick out the tune.
She really has. Let's just say we were talking about Greg's earlier on, and
well, she's having personal problems.
In that case, we move on.
Her husband has been cheating on her, and she's been announcing it in concerts.
Ooh.
So let's just say she's not in a good place, and maybe the eclairs are helping.
Nice picture of David Cameron with some people blacked up.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's Morris dancing, though, isn't it? So that's tradition.
Now, I always thought the Morris dancing blackface was coal as opposed to black people. It's supposed to represent coal miners.
Yeah, I thought that too.
So then there's no problem, really. Oh, here we go. Prominent black playwright Bonnie Greer took to Twitter to call Mr. Cameron a jerk for posing for the pictures. She's got no problem with the troupe, but she said the Prime Minister should have shown more sensitivity and awareness, particularly during... Who knows what month this is, guys?
Black History Month.
Black History Month. And what have we learnt in Black History Month so far? Not a lot. Not a lot.
Goodbye, Mr. Chips. Boris urged to ban takeaways 5 minutes walks from school gates.
Come on.
This one again. Chippies and burger joints will be banned from opening within 5 minutes walk of school under plans to beat child obesity. They won't. London Mayor Boris Johnson is being urged to stop takeaways setting up close to school gates.
And they're going to close the corner shops and the supermarkets as well, yeah?
I mean, because where I live, there is a massive supermarket and the kids just go and buy... I've seen them walking home from school with huge bottles of pop.
Yeah, 4 packets of Haribo.
Yeah, oh.
Yeah.
No, they won't have those 4. They're mine.
Yeah.
Family size buckets of donuts.
Beautiful.
You know, all that kind of thing. So why don't you just, I mean, as parents, just know what your kids have got in their pockets?
It's nonsense. Don't give them enough money to go and buy that, and tell them, give them a nice...
They don't eat their tea. You know they've been eating somewhere else.
My little boy...
That's assuming you're having tea with them.
My little boy... Oh, look at that little dig there.
No, but I mean, I guess that's the problem.
My youngest, last night we were having a lovely bit of roast lamb. Oh, beautiful bit of roast lamb. And he had he has trouble. He puts too much food in his mouth and he can't cope with it. It's a common thing. But so he had this food in his mouth and he was chewing it for ages. He said, "Daddy, I don't like it." I said, "OK, well, do you want to spit it out?"
It's not that he didn't like it, he just got fed up with chewing it.
Yeah. So he didn't just spit it out, he sicked up.
Oh.
Like proper, the food came out and then the food he'd eaten 20 minutes ago came out.
Oh.
Sick, right? And I'm there catching it.
Yeah, isn't that the sign of a parent?
Catching the sick.
Once upon a time you ran away from sick, now you catch it.
And then he sucked it all up. He sicked it all. No, he sicked it all up, and then he went straight back into the meal. He then got another bit of lamb on a fork and shoved that in his gob.
Kids are animals, aren't they?
He didn't even rinse his mouth out. Disgusting.
Moving, just keep moving.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Starting off on the M1, very heavy moving at the moment between junction 11 at Dunstable Road and junction 7 for Hemel Hempstead. In Dunstable, very heavy at the moment on the A5, the High Street North, just around Church Street on the sensors this morning. And the M25 heading anti-clockwise, very slow moving between junction 21 for the M1 and junction 20 for Kings Langley. Also rather heavy anti-clockwise between 17 at Maple Cross and junction 16 for the M40. Nicola Richards, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Nicola. 6:45. It's Tuesday, the 14th of October. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Bedfordshire Police say they're still trying to identify a man who approached young girls on their way to school. The incidents, which happened earlier this year, featured last night on Channel 4's 24 Hours in Police Custody. The first screening of passengers arriving in the UK for possible symptoms of Ebola will begin at Heathrow this morning. And a family from Welwyn Garden City is calling for changes to the law after their baby son was born prematurely and had to stay in hospital, meaning the dad ran out of time to take paternity leave. We'll speak to Justin Dealey after the weather with Kate.
Beds, Herts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Good morning. It's a rather damp and drizzly start to the day. There's a lot of moisture in the air and it's just rather dull, but it is a slow improvement to yesterday. The rain is less intense, it's a little more light and drizzly, and the wind is certainly less strong, so it is an improvement. Just no real sunshine to speak of. Perhaps a little bit of brightness later on this afternoon. The further north you go, you may get a glimmer or two of sunshine, but that in turn could spark off one or two potentially quite heavy showers, so you're never very far away from the rain. Maximum temperature getting up to around 16 Celsius. Overnight tonight, so eventually any showers remaining will die away. Mainly dry. We could get a bit of mist and fog develop by dawn tomorrow morning. We have, I should say, actually got a bit of mist and fog this morning over towards the Children's parts of Buckinghamshire. It is quite murky in some areas there, and it does spring up on you from nowhere, so extra care needed out on the roads this morning. Similar start tomorrow, and then as we head through the day, we're going to get our next frontal system bringing with it some heavy rain through tomorrow afternoon. Maximum temperature 15 Celsius, and that's your forecast.
Thank you, Kate.
Every weekday morning, local opinions.
Well, I think it's a very difficult proposition.
You really cannot allow your heart to rule your head.
Local stories.
I wanted to call my house Hardcore Mansions. They refused that on 2 separate occasions.
I wasn't leaving the house through the fear as to what I would find when I came back.
Local life.
I bought a car within 3 months. It's rusty.
They said that the deposit would be forthcoming. It wasn't.
The JVS Show. Weekdays from 9 on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Justin.
Hey, boss.
Come on, now listen, we were going to... I said to Dad, get Justin up after the weather, we'll go straight to J. Dawag and find out what's going on the streets. But I've just seen the next song in the playing order is one chosen by Catherine Boyle. It's Mr. Adamant and his pop group, The Ants, and the Stand and Deliver song.
Oh, anthem.
I got told off because my eldest boy, he had like a scarf around his face, and I went, oh... You look like a highwayman.
Yeah.
And my wife, no, he doesn't. He looks like an Arctic explorer. I said, no, he looks like a highwayman. What's a highwayman, Daddy? And I said, well, a highwayman, back in the days before there were cars, would ride a horse and go up to carriages and steal all of their gold. They say, stand and deliver your money or your life. I got a right royal rollicking for that.
What, for introducing, I mean, for its history?
For introducing armed robbery to my eldest, yeah.
Would you like a local fact? A local fact on here?
I would love a local fact.
Here we go.
Dick Turpin stopped in a pub here once.
No, Snooks was the last highwayman to be hung in this country. Hanged. Okay, and the stone is still there in Hemel Hempstead, and if you run round it, I think 10 times, a ghost will appear.
No, it won't.
It will.
Well, it won't. And you say the stone. What stone?
Well, the stone where he was hung.
Hanged. What do you mean? What? He would have been hanged on a gallows?
Well... that point, there is a stone. Local people back me up here, and the ghost of Snooks is still there.
We'll get to the nonsense of the ghost in a second. I don't get what this stone is.
Well, it was where he was hung, hanged, whatever you want to call it, where he was killed. He was the last highwayman in this country.
Did they put the stone there after he was hanged?
Yeah, because it's historic. Right. He was the last one in this country.
So how do we know But when did they put the stone there?
I don't know, but it's there. It's a white stone in a field in Hemel Hempstead. Snooks. There used to be a pub called Snooks in Hemel as well.
Okay, you're veering.
That's now
just
gone.
Focus on the target here of this stone.
Yeah.
I don't get the stone. When was the stone? Because I could put a stone in a field and say, Billy Wobbles, the last.
It's fact, not
Billy
fiction.
Wobbles was hanged here.
Anybody?
You'd have to be pretty sure he was the last one, so maybe I'm guessing, what, 3 years?
I don't know. I don't know when it was. I'm just saying he was the last one.
They couldn't have done it immediately.
No, because you wouldn't be sure that it was the last one. They were 10 a penny back then, weren't
Anybody who knows their history locally will phone you this morning to back me up here. It's a very, very famous story, and apparently if you run round that stone, I believe 10 times...
Don't forget that.
He will come back. He will come back.
Well, mate, he won't, because otherwise kids will be going over there, drinking hooch, smoking a doobie, and then running around 10 times and talking to the ghosts of Snooks and Billy Wobbles.
That's what they do.
Hey, this was prime highwayman stroke woman territory. Do you know about the Wicked Lady of Markyate Cell?
Oh, no, I don't, but she sounds wonderful.
You know this one, don't you, Justin?
Oh, I don't know this one, no.
There was a Lady Catherine.
Oh.
Hang on. Markyate, which is very, very nearby. There's a place called Markyate Cell, which I believe they've just sold. It says a home people still live in.
Yeah.
But the story goes that she was left in some sort of financial need. Let's call it civil war.
Yeah.
And so she took to going out and robbing people. Wicked Lady, they made a film out of it in black and white, so it must be true.
Yes. No, I do remember this story now, yes.
Justin, so just give me the story one more time, the facts, because you're only dealing facts, not fiction.
Right, OK, Snooks was the last highwayman to be hanged in this country.
He sounds like that woman in My Fair Lady. He's trying to... Anyway, Justin, Janet, has Justin got it right?
He was the last highwayman to be hanged, yes, at Boxmoor, which is part of Hemel Hempstead now. But I think the stone is where he was buried.
Oh yeah, burial stone, Justin, instead of a hanging stone. So,
well, listen, I was almost there.
Well, no, you were miles off. And Janet, what's this nonsense about running around it 10 times and smoking a doobie?
Well, I don't live near Boxmoor, so Justin, because he's associations with Hemel Hempstead, may know the stories. I don't know any story about that at all.
No, it's made up nonsense.
No, it's not.
Do you know where Billy Wobbles was hanged, Janet?
I have no idea.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Well, Justin, anyway.
Yeah.
What I was going to say is we will come to you. This isn't your bit.
Okay.
But we're going to play Adam and the Ant, Stand and Deliver.
Yeah.
I got in such trouble yesterday. My little boy, my eldest, he had a scarf up around his face.
Really?
And I said, "Oh, you look like a highwayman."
No, you look like an Arctic explorer.
Well, no. And I said, and he said, "What's a highwayman?" I told him it's before cars. These people would ride on horses, and they would stop horse and carts, and they would go, "Stand and deliver your money or your life." I got right roll rollicking for that.
What are you telling him about armed robbery for?
I know.
Heaven's sake.
You got any stories about highwaymen, Just?
Yes, Snooks from Hemel Hempstead.
Yeah, go on.
Apparently he was the last highwayman to be hanged in this country. And if you run round the stone 10 times, you will bring him back.
What stone?
There's a stone in the middle of a field where people go and smoke doobies and run round the stone.
But what is the stone for?
Well, two things. It's either, we believe, where he was actually hanged.
I don't think it was that.
Or it was where he was buried.
Okay, well, that's good. Well, anyway, Justin, this isn't your bit.
Yeah.
We're going to come to your bit in a second.
Lovely.
First of all, we're going to play a song by Mr. Adam Ant.
Anthem.
And the Ants.
Yeah.
Stand and Deliver.
Cracking.
Hey, I tell you something. Yesterday...
on looking flash and grabbing your attention. The devil take your stereo and your record collection. The way you look, you'll qualify for next year's old age pension. Stand and deliver your money or your life. Try the mirror like mine or a knife. I'm the daddy highwayman, so sick of easy fashion. The clumsy boots pick up a ropes that people think so dashing. So what's the point of robbery when nothing is worth taking? It's kind of tough to tell a
what I'm talking about. Gotta love it, Justin.
Great tune.
Now listen, we've got a mish for you.
Yeah,
Catherine, what's Justin's mish?
Spice Girls Melanie Chisholm, also known as Mel C. You may be aware of her work in Track Slacks during the 1990s.
I love Mel C. She came and said hello to me at the recent Radio Academy Awards.
Yeah, and she's beautiful.
She's stunning, absolutely stunning.
Anyway, she's not very happy with Rihanna. She won't let her little girl see Rihanna's pop videos because she says they're too raunchy, too sexy. She says it's a shame that such a talented, successful woman expresses herself in such an overtly sexual way. It's in the new Radio Times magazine, that's why it's come out. I have heard her say this before, and I kind of agree with her. I was at a party recently and they had MTV on and they let the kids dance in front of it. I wish they'd been watching what was actually on MTV.
The turning point for me in pop videos...
Sabrina.
Well, I think that was a one-off. Well, a
Good
two-off.
video, though. Great video.
Boys.
Looking for a good time.
I don't know what that meant.
The turning point for me was Beyonce... I remember I was working on a breakfast TV show and I went in the next day and said, oh my God, I've seen the most amazing pop video. It's like a porn film. And it was that. It was incredible.
Lots of dropping it like it's hot.
Yeah, and they're all like... So what do we want Justin to do? Go and recreate the Rihanna video.
Yes.
Our pop video's too sexy is the kind of thing. What do you reckon, Justin?
Is Rihanna too rude?
I think they are. I think they are now. I think, back in the days of innocent pop videos, it would always be about the song first of all, then the video. Nowadays, it's about trying to make the video as outrageous and as sexy as possible. So people like us and other media outlets, we talk about it and it gets them publicity. It's wrong. But
Catherine, you came up with the question, is Rihanna too rude? I think that's it. That's what we'll go for, and maybe see if they'd let their kids watch the videos. Thank you, Jar. Speak to you later. Ta-ta.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Starting off on the M1, heading southbound, very slow moving on the speed sensors between junction 11 at Dunstable Road and junction 7 for Hemel Hempstead. In Dunstable, very heavy moving on the A5, the High Street North, just around Church Street. And also take a look at the M25, heading anti-clockwise, very slow moving at the moment between junction 21 for the M1 and junction 20 at Kings Langley. In Bricketwood, is starting to build up on the North Orbital Road, just at junction 21A for the M25. And on camera, the Barnet Bypass in Borehamwood, that's starting to build between Stirling Corner and Mill Hill Circus. Nicola Richards, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much, Nicola. Well, you can take your calls on this. You can give us a call if you want. Is Rihanna too rude? Do you let your kids watch the pop videos? They are a bit mucky, but isn't pop supposed to be rebellious? Aren't we supposed to hate what our kids like? Aren't we?
I think when there are thongs involved, you want songs.
Yeah, so the thong. That was a good tune. Anyone remember Tattoo, guys?
Yes.
Hey? Oh,
they weren't, were they?
No, they weren't. No, unfortunately.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 7 o'clock. I'm Simon Oxley. The headlines: Bedfordshire Police still hunting potential child abductor. Screening for Ebola starts at Heathrow. And Hertfordshire family want change to paternity leave.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Bedfordshire Police say they're still trying to identify a man who approached a number of young girls on their way to school. One of the incidents, which happened earlier this year near Ardley Hill Academy in Dunstable, was featured last night on Channel 4's 24 Hours in Police Custody. Jeanette is the mother of a 9-year-old at the school who was a more recent victim of an attempted abduction.
Well, he's still quite traumatised about it. He's holding my hand really tight now and saying to me, make sure the bad man doesn't get me. The bad man's not following us, is he? The bad man's not going to be about. Is the bad man knowing where I live?
The first screening of passengers arriving in the UK for possible symptoms of Ebola will begin this morning. Border staff at Heathrow's Terminal 1 will question anyone who's come from the worst affected countries. More from Richard Westcott.
There are no direct flights to the UK from Guinea, Liberia or Sierra Leone, but around 1,000 passengers a week come via Paris and Brussels. They'll all be questioned by Border Force staff and health professionals who can check for signs of Ebola, especially a high temperature. By the end of next week, screening will be extended to all of Heathrow, Gatwick and Eurostar services. The government says that should cover 9 in every 10 people travelling to the UK from the danger area.
Police are appealing for witnesses after yesterday morning's fatal crash on the M25 in Hertfordshire. A 37-year-old man died after his black VW Passat hit a barrier on the anti-clockwise carriageway between junctions 22 and 21 at 6:30. The Environment Agency has issued a flood alert for the River Lee at Luton, Harpenden and Wheathampstead. Meanwhile, police and the fire service in Hertfordshire say they took numerous calls to deal with flooding in the east of the county yesterday evening. A woman was rescued from her car by firefighters, and the A602 at Tonwell only reopened in the early hours of this morning. A family from Welwyn Garden City is calling for changes to the law after their baby son was born prematurely and had to stay in hospital, meaning the dad ran out of time to take paternity leave. More from Sophie Solaria.
Baby Jensen was born on the 10th of August, 11 weeks early. The family decided to take paternity leave once Jensen came home from hospital, but say they were told it was too late because of government rules about taking it within 56 days. They say they've met other families with babies in neonatal who are in the same position and would like the law changed so that exceptions can be made for very premature babies.
The Chancellor, George Osborne, has said there's to be a further relaxation of the rules governing private pension pots. In future, savers will be able to withdraw all or some of their pension whenever they choose. In sport, Wales are top of their qualifying group for Euro 2016 after beating Cyprus 2-1 in Cardiff. The weather starting wet and overcast but becoming drier and brighter. Still the chance of a heavy shower later though. A maximum temperature 16 degrees Celsius. And you can get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
Today on BBC Three Counties Radio.
From 9.
The JVS Show.
With the big phone-in, the hottest topic of the day and your consumer problems. From 12.
Nick Coffer.
With Robert Webb and Neil Morrissey talking about their new West End play and a very sweet dog called Esther who's desperately looking for a home.
From 3.
Roberto Perroni.
I'm here with a roundup of the day's news, the latest travel and your stories.
From 7.
Mark Forrest.
I'll bring you the best bits from everything that's been happening on BBC Local Radio.
Today on BBC Three Counties Radio.
There once was a wealthy man who had a wonderful idea to bring children from all places with all kinds of faces together into a sailing ship. There were 40 boys and girls. They would sail their ship around the globe, so they called it the United World. The ship was just 3 weeks from shore when a hurricane bore it down. The waves were big as mountains. They found they would surely drown. They jumped into the lifeboats, rowed away from the wreck. They didn't count them, they hadn't time. 5 children were left behind. Fought the storm all night and finally fell asleep. They didn't realize the ship had been blown across a reef into the Lost Islands. What? Hiding in the bushes was a watchful pair of eyes, and living in the valley were people lost in time, ruled over by a tyrant whose face was in a mask. Children must defeat him so they can escape at last from the Lost Islands. The Lost Islands.
Based on a true story, apparently. Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. It's 5 minutes past 7. It is cold, it is wet, it is miserable, and boy, oh boy, I love it. I love it. Do you like this weather, Danny?
No.
Oh, Catherine, you like this weather, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I like autumn.
This reminds you of home, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The miserable north.
Could do with a bit wetter, a bit bleaker.
Yeah, well, we're going up there today, aren't we? To the miserable north.
Yippee!
To see the poor.
The motherland.
Should we take, Polaroid cameras to blow their minds? Should we take them, I don't know, food? What do we take them?
How long's it been since you've been up north?
I've never been.
Seems to come on quite a lot.
Wowzers. One of the coolest things in my life, right? One of the coolest things ever was when I was in Pakistan. When was this? This was 19...
I've just seen one of the coolest things ever.
What was that?
Tony Blackburn.
Hey! 1996, went to Pakistan, right? Filming in this village where they had nothing. Fair play, we were exploiting them. I will carry that shame to my grave. But I had a Polaroid camera before digital cameras. We blew the children's mind with the magic photograph machine. They couldn't believe it. You took the thing, the little black piece of paper came out, and they were disappointed. Their faces as the pictures appeared. It was magical. Come in here, fella. Come on. Look, we'll stop
I still
this.
quite fancy one of those.
We'll
They're
get
expensive,
one.
aren't they?
What on earth are you doing? I'm going to stop this. Look, hang on. Here we go. Look.
I've been listening to you on the way up.
You're out of breath,
I think there should be two MTV channels. One for those of us who want our pop stars to wear more clothes.
Yeah.
A lot of clothes.
Yeah.
All right. Jumpers and big coats. And there should be another one that wants us to have the ordinary videos. It's as simple as that.
You're out of breath and you've literally just walked from the car.
Yes.
Tony. This is not a good sign. For goodness sakes.
I'm in very bad condition.
You a bit poorly?
No, I'll be all right. Not too bad, no.
Okay.
Well, I had the flu jab and I haven't quite got over that.
Doesn't the flu jab gives you the flu, doesn't it?
Well, my doctor says no, but it has given me strange symptoms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You started being funny?
Well, no, unfortunately, that hasn't worked. But you know, I mean, I was listening to you on the way up.
Yeah.
It's a simple process, isn't it?
Yeah.
MTV 1, more clothes, lots of clothes.
But
MTV 2, hardly any clothes.
The knitwear channel.
You know which one would get all the viewers, though?
Well, the one with the people who want the clothes
But
on.
then you go back to the 60s, the invention of the miniskirt. And boy, oh boy, didn't people get excited at the miniskirt.
I did. It never quite suited me, but I still, sort of persisted with it. And I still got it in the cupboard. And next week, if you like, I'll wear it in for you.
Tony Blackburn, you're on Sunday mornings, aren't you?
Sunday mornings, yes.
Well, it's Tuesday morning, so I'm going to have to ask you to leave.
Yes, it's just preparation time. I do preparation for my show.
Let me look that word up on the dictionary. I'll get back to you later on. See you later, Tony.
Bye.
Ta-ta. Tony Blackburn.
He just owned you.
Yeah, he did totally own.
You were toned.
That was the voice of professionalism, dear listener. Danny, we'll clip that and we'll have that in the podcast,
Anyway,
please.
it's all his fault with Pan's people.
Yeah. Pan's people started it, didn't they? Anyway, look, we should start the show, should we?
Go then.
Thank you very much indeed. Lots coming up on the show. We'll talk about our pop videos a little bit too mucky later on. But Bedfordshire Police say they're still trying to identify a man who approached a number of young girls on their way to school. One of the incidents, which happened earlier this year in the Adley Hill Academy in Dunstable, was featured on 24 Hours in police custody last night. Jeanette is the mother of a 9-year-old boy at the school who was a recent victim of an attempted abduction. She spoke to our reporter, Tony Fisher. Oh, no, she didn't. Yes, she did.
Well, I've been walking into school all the time, obviously, because he's, in lower school. But now, since it's changed to an academy, I thought I would let him walk the last little bit on his way when there's no roads to cross on his own, because he would have done that if he'd have been in middle school. He would have walked to school on his own like all his brothers and sisters did. And I'd let him walk down by the co-op. I was with him. And then from the co-op to here, he was walking on his own. He'd done that since September. I got home, started drinking a cup of coffee, got a phone call, get down to school immediately. And a man in a blue car had pulled over from the other side of the road onto this side of the road, got out of the car and tried to approach my child. My child kicked him and ran into the school.
Your son kicked him?
Yeah.
How did you feel?
Well, absolutely gutted, but glad he'd done the right thing because he'd kicked him and got away. And since then, now I've heard about lots of other children being followed in cars.
So do you think this man was following your son?
I don't know if it was a spur-of-the-moment thing. I'm not too sure what's happened, but it was a man in a blue car who got out of the car, tried to approach my son.
And what do you think he was trying to do?
Have no idea. I wouldn't like to guess what he was going to try and do, but why would an adult try and approach a 9-year-old boy who he didn't know?
So he was on the way to school. He got to school safely. You came
he
round.
got to school. I was down here within 5 minutes, and then the police were called, and then the police took a statement off my son with one of the teachers present because it happened. They came at one point during the day when I was at home, and then the school informed me that the police had been.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah.
And he's year 5, isn't he?
He's year 5.
Okay. And so now, what do you do now? Do you let him
Now
walk
I
on?
walk into school and I stay with him until that gate is locked.
Right, OK. And
Just like I'd done previously since he was at nursery to the end of year 4. But yeah.
It's a bit sad, though, that you can't...
It's really sad because, as I said, I've got 3 other children and they had all, in year 5, gone to middle school and walked on their own and walked with their friends. And, you know, that's their bit of independence from the age of 9. They've always been allowed to go down the shop and now you just can't do it.
So how's he feeling now? Because the head said he was a little bit shaken up.
Yeah, well, he's still quite traumatised about it. He's holding my hand really tight now and saying to me, make sure the bad man doesn't get me. The bad man's not following us, is he? The bad man's not going to be about. Is the bad man knowing where I live?
Well, that's Jeanette speaking about her 9-year-old boy to our reporter Tony Fisher, joined now by Anastasia Duval, who is chair of the charity Family Lives and specialises in family and education. Morning, Anastasia.
Good morning.
What's your reaction to what you've just heard?
Well, I guess it's twofold, really. You know, nothing takes away from the frighteningness of something potentially happening to your child. And we know that, you know, this sort of story actually often leads to parents being more worried. On the other hand, we don't actually know what happened in that incident. We don't know what the man in the car was about to do. Luckily, the boy did the right thing and ran off. But we've got to get a balance here between using common sense, being vigilant, being realistic about the fact that there are dangers, although I would say actually probably the biggest danger is still road danger in terms of getting hit by a car, but at the same time not actually getting it to the stage where we're so paranoid and actually we imbue our kids with fear, because one of the striking things about that reporting was that the child is now really worried and is sure that that man was going to do something bad. So we need to be careful that we're not actually making kids completely worried about real life and the outside world, but at the same time, as I say, being realistic about
Yes,
things.
it's that thing of the people often say, there are so many more paedophiles than there were 50 years ago. I don't know if that's actually true. I think we're just perhaps more aware of it because of the coverage it gets. So it's that balance, isn't it, of giving the child sensible advice and safe advice and not scaring them. It sounds like the boy, though, if he was concerned, sounds like he may have done the right thing.
Yeah, I mean, kicking the guy, perhaps, I mean, maybe that was the right thing at the time. We don't really know the level of threat that the boy felt that he was under. I think the main thing is, and, you know, this is being imbued in kids and we should really keep doing it, is don't talk to strangers. Certainly don't go off with strangers. We need to keep hammering home those messages. In terms of the number of paedophiles, I think you're right. Actually, we know statistically that if we looked at the population, let's say 50 years ago, when it was deemed to be much safer, there's no evidence that there were fewer paedophiles then. It's just that we know much more about them. We've got much more awareness around this as a danger for kids.
Police have stepped up patrols in the area, and the school has sent out emails encouraging pupils not to walk alone. Is there much more that can be done?
I think one of the things that really needs to happen is that, obviously this is ideal, but that we need to find out what this guy was trying to do, because actually that's still not that clear. And I think
Anastasia, it's pretty odd for a gentleman to be approaching children several times over a period of months, isn't it? I can't imagine what the legitimate reason would be. Surely it's got to be something suspicious.
No, I'm sure there isn't a legitimate reason, but one of the things that would really help the police is if they were clear about what his motives were. I mean, you know, our assumption is, and it probably is the right one, that it's something to do with something really horrible like paedophilia, but it may be another kind of crime. Why that matters is because what we want the police to be able to do is not to say to everybody, right, now you've got a sort of self-inflicted curfew in your homes, you have to only leave your house with a parent. We want actually to find this guy. That's why it matters, because if we understand the motive better, we might be able to find the person, and obviously for a community that's the important thing. The other thing to emphasise is we don't want this community to feel that suddenly life isn't safe. We want them to feel there's somebody out there who's a problem. Hopefully the police will be able to identify them, and then hopefully they can go back to normal lives where, yes, you're vigilant, but you don't actually, as I say, have to be a prisoner in your own home.
No, if there was a guy approaching kids near my son's school, I would be rightfully anxious, and I wouldn't care what his motive was. I would want him arrested and stopped.
Well, that's the point, though. As I said, it's not about whether the motive is better or worse. It's about trying to understand. You know, the job now of the police is to find the guy. If they've got the wrong, as it were, approach in terms of who they're looking for, So, for example, if they're looking at people who've committed a particular crime rather than another one, then that could be problematic in terms of finding them. The point is that obviously this is having a hugely negative effect on the community. It's something which is really frightening people. This guy needs to be caught. And so what I'm saying is that we need to find every possible understanding of who this person is. And so if we have a very narrow picture of what we assume this person was trying to do, that may actually curtail the investigation and make it less effective.
Anastasia, nice to talk to you. Anastasia Duval, chair of the charity Family Lives. Your thoughts on that, please? 08459 455 555. All I know is if there was some bloke going up to kids outside my son's school and scaring them, well, that's enough for me to know I'd want to find that fella. I'm not saying I'd want to find him and pummel him into the ground, but I'd want to find him and I'd want to make him stop doing that through all the legal channels. I don't want to particularly understand why he's doing it. I'd want my boys not to be frightened. 08459 455 555.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Starting to build up now on the Great North Road, approaching the Black Cat roundabout where those roadworks are continuing. Very heavy now on the A1M, heading southbound just around junction 8 for Stevenage. Also, the M1 is building on the speed sensors at the moment between junction 11 Dunstable Road and junction 7 for Hemel Hempstead. And taking a look so far at the M25, it's queuing at the moment between junction 18 for Chorleywood and junction 16, the M40. And on a camera, the Barnet bypass is looking heavy heading southbound between Stirling Corner and Mill Hill Circus. No reported problems on the trains. Nicola Richards, BBC Three Counties Radio.
There we go. Right, 7:17. It is Tuesday, the 14th of October. Unlucky for some. I'm Iain Lee. Oh, no, that's Friday. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Bedfordshire police say they're still trying to identify a man who approached young girls on their way to school. The incidents, which happened earlier this year, featured last night on Channel 4's 24 Hours in Police Custody. The first screening of passengers arriving in the UK for possible symptoms of Ebola will begin at Heathrow this morning. And a family from Welwyn Garden City is calling for changes to the law after their baby son was born prematurely and had to stay in hospital, meaning the dad ran out of time to take paternity leave.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Hey guys, you know radio's really good? Well, turn it off!
On BBC One.
The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams.
The bold.
I walk the walk, I talk the talk, and I dance the dance.
The brash.
My absolute worst nightmare is getting to age 40 with a 50 grand salary.
And the brazen.
I'm not arrogant, because what I'm saying is all true.
Would you send the candidates in, please?
Yes, Lieutenant. The Apprentice is back.
Shut up. You are a total shambles. You're fired.
Tonight at 9 on BBC One and BBC One HD.
Yeah, don't listen to the radio, watch the television.
You kind of get the idea of that series from that little thing there, so you don't need to watch it.
I used to love The Apprentice. I don't think I've watched the last two, and I've not watched the last two series of Dragon's Den, because I get it. I get it now. I've got the format right. Okay.
If I want to be irritated for half an hour a week, I just turn the telly off.
Yeah, I
listen to what's going on around me.
I don't watch telly anymore. Sorry, Danny, you're a woman. You're intuitive. Was Catherine just having a dig at me or not?
No, she wouldn't do that.
Nice one, mate.
No.
Thank you. I'm glad you're here. Yeah, I don't watch telly anymore. What's on? I mean, we watched the end of the awful Postman Pat movie yesterday. Oh, absolutely, and that was horrible. The Postman Pat movie was horrible. It was full of I sent you the clip of the dancer pretending
with the swinging leg.
Yeah, the swinging leg. Well, then there's a bit where there's a robot Postman Pat singing, and there are loads of sexy post women in hot pants.
What for? Postman Pat was a gentle tale of country life. The most exciting thing that happened was someone's hat blew off, and let's leave it at that. There was nothing wrong with it. He didn't need a last name. He didn't need a helicopter. Leave him alone.
At no point did I ever expect in my life to be the father of two boys and to be watching a Postman Pat movie and the younger one going, "Look, Daddy, here come the killer robots!" In a Postman Pat movie.
It's all wrong.
It's all wrong. 08459 455 555. Now, on to perhaps slightly more important things. Although the Postman Pat movie will be a problem they'll encounter in a few years' time, I guarantee it. A new dad from Welwyn Garden City has lost his entitlement to paternity leave because he wanted to take it once his premature baby was home from hospital. Little Jensen was born 11 weeks early and was very, very poorly. So his parents thought they'd save their leave until they could all be home together. But Dad's bosses had other ideas, and they insist that any paternity leave should have been taken within 56 days of the birth. Well, Jensen's mum, Kirsty, joins me now. Morning, Kirsty.
Morning.
So, how old is Jensen now?
He's 9 weeks and 2 days.
And how's he doing?
Hopefully he's coming home today.
Hey, that's exciting.
I know. So I think I've had my last good night's sleep.
Yeah, for the next. Well, I'm 4.5 years in, and I've not had a good night's sleep since. Is this your first child?
Yes.
The weirdest thing ever we found was because when you're in the hospital, you've got family and you've got nurses and people all around you. The first time you take the baby home and plonk the carry cot on the floor, and you kind of look and go, I don't know what to do now. What do we do with it? Must be really exciting then. You must be over the moon.
Yes, we are, yeah.
So he's been in hospital for 9.5 weeks then?
Yes, he has, yeah.
And he's all up to strength and he's doing really well?
Yeah, he's doing as well as we could possibly hope, yeah.
Brilliant. Well, that's really good news. What's going on with this paternity leave then, Kirsty? What's the problem?
Well, basically, the normal period you have is 56 days after the birth. There are exceptions. The government have been good. You can actually take it in the case of a premature birth up to 8 weeks after the due date, which in our case, the due date's actually the 25th of October. So,
right.
We actually have plenty of time.
Gosh, he was born early, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
Flipping heck.
But most companies aren't aware and are still enforcing it. I've spoke to parents in the unit and, even really helpful companies that have been trying their best to accommodate dads are saying, you've got to take your paternity leave soon. Your 56 days is going to be up, just because they're not aware.
So when did... And we're not mentioning your fella's name because we're not speaking to the company and we don't really want to, say anything necessarily bad about them specifically. But when did you both find out that there was a problem?
He'd always said to his employer, there's no point taking it now. We're going to need it when he comes home. He's going to need a lot of care. And that was always fine. It was 2 weeks ago when we found out, he'd be coming home soon, which was great. He went in, said to work, I'm going to need my paternity leave soon. And his HR for his company turned around and said, you've lost your entitlement. The baby's too old.
Disappointing, to say the least.
Which... It's more frustrating that when you're already going through a very stressful situation, you then have to go home, research, find out that you are still entitled to it, and then have this ongoing fight to get what you're entitled to.
Kirsty, stay there. We're joined by Elizabeth Duff, who is the Senior Policy Advisor at the NCT. Morning, Elizabeth.
Morning, Ian and Kirsty.
Does this story sound familiar to you?
Well, it sounds... First of all, can I say congratulations to Kirsty and her husband and on their baby, and also such a relief, and we're so pleased for you that it sounds as though
Elizabeth,
doing well.
you did what I did. I stopped myself from saying husband. I've got no idea if they're married or not. None of my business. But I think we're quite old-fashioned, Elizabeth. I think we're showing our age by assuming husbands and things like that. Anyway, it's good news that he's coming home, isn't it?
It absolutely is, and partner, baby's father, whatever.
Whatever,
yes,
exactly. Well done.
Yes, the paternity leave. I work for NCT, as you know, and we have been working with the government department on this, and to be fair, they have made efforts recently to look at paternity leave. We wanted them to extend it and to make it more widely eligible. That didn't happen. What did happen, which is a bit of a step forward, is some more flexible offerings around shared parental leave, which might possibly be helpful to Kirsty's family. I'm being careful now.
Yes, well done.
And I'm not saying this is right. I think it sounds as if the employer here is looking at the letter of the law and perhaps, as she suggests, getting the letter of the law wrong and certainly not following the spirit of the law.
Well, Elizabeth, have I got this right? If someone goes on paternity leave, they're still paid some money, and does some of that money come from the government? Is that how it works?
There's statutory pay for both paternity leave and maternity leave. It's not a great deal. It's around £130 a week. It's less than the minimum wage, which is another thing we're campaigning on because we think that's really not very good. And I believe employers in general can claim that back from the government. So the whole thing can be seen as quite a complicated process, especially for smaller organisations.
And could this company, and we're not naming them, but this company, they could show a bit of flexibility if they chose to, couldn't they?
Yes, of course they can. Yes. I absolutely feel they should, particularly when it sounds as though Kirsty's partner has kept them informed, explained what's happening, asked clearly for what he wants for an extremely good reason. And as Kirsty was saying, there is scope for exemption. The regulations are complex, and it's one of the things, again, we've been saying. Even people who work in HR, who obviously should be up with all these regulations, are finding it quite a struggle. Some people have come to us asking, what's happening, where can I find information? And there are things changing. At the moment, we're sort of between legislation being talked about and it coming into force. So there are changes and it needs a bit of work.
Is there anything that Kirsty can do now, Elizabeth, do you think, to kind of swing her partner's bosses round?
Well, if she believes that the exemption to the 56-day limit applies to her, I would absolutely go back very calmly, if possible, not getting appearing upset about it, although it is upsetting, but just find the wording and go back to them saying, actually, this is what applies to us, so please can we have it?
Kirsty, I'm assuming you're not going to let this lie and you're going to carry on. I suppose part of the thing is you don't want to upset his boss too much, do you?
Well, no, I don't. Equally, I mean, the main reason we are pushing it is our little boy's coming home on oxygen and needs a lot more monitoring than most babies do. And, I can't do that. I can't be 24 hours a day. I'm great, but I'm not that good. So you need a second pair of eyes. So ultimately, he is going to have to take time off, whether it be unpaid, whether it be paternity pay or annual leave. He has to be here. So, we will be pushing this.
OK. Well, Kirsty, listen, I wish you the best of luck. Boy, oh boy, you're about to start an amazing adventure. Good luck.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
No, good, you should be. It's really good news. Good luck. I hope everything progresses well. Elizabeth, thank you very much as well. Elizabeth Duff from NCT. 08459 455 555. Let's get the travel now.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's building up at the moment on the Great North Road, approaching the Black Cat roundabout on the sensors. The A1M also building up now between Junction 3 at St Albans and Junction 1 for the M25. Taking a look at the M1 this morning on the sensors, and it's looking very slow moving at the moment between Junction 11 for Dunstable Road and Junction 7 Hemel Hempstead. The M25 heading anti-clockwise on camera, heavy going between Junction 21A for St Albans and Junction 19 at Watford. And taking a look so far at the local live departure boards for the trains, everything's running to time, not seeing any problems or delays. Nicola Richards, BBC Three Counties Radio.
There's a new nail growing under one of my fingernails. That's good, isn't it?
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 7:30. I'm Simon Oxley. Bedfordshire Police say they're still trying to identify a man who approached young girls on their way to school. The incident, which happened earlier this year, featured last night on Channel 4's 24 Hours in Police Custody. The first screening of passengers arriving in the UK for possible symptoms of Ebola will begin at Heathrow this morning. Police are appealing for witnesses after yesterday morning's fatal crash on the M25 in Hertfordshire. A 37-year-old man died after his black VW Passat hit the barrier on the anti-clockwise carriageway between junctions 22 and 21. And a family from Welwyn Garden City is calling for changes to the law after their baby son was born prematurely and had to stay in hospital, meaning the dad ran out of time to take paternity leave.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Wales are top of their qualifying group for Euro 2016 after beating Cyprus 2-1 in Cardiff. Real Madrid star Gareth Bale says the Welsh are in good form.
We knew Bosnia was going to be a difficult game, and they're a very good team, which a point is a good result. And yeah, we definitely thought we could beat Cyprus tonight. Obviously difficult circumstances, but we got the job done, which is the most important thing. And maybe in different campaigns we wouldn't have won tonight.
Elsewhere, Watford duo Matej Vydra and Daniel Pudil were unused subs as the Czech Republic won 4-2 in Kazakhstan. Watford's Akechi Anya is an injury down for Scotland's match in Poland tonight. The winger missed training yesterday. MK Dons duo Will Grigg and Ben Reeves are with the Northern Ireland squad in Greece. And also tonight, the Republic of Ireland are away to world champions Germany. Boreham Wood are through to the FA Cup fourth qualifying round after a 1-0 replay win at home to Frome last night. The Hertfordshire side will travel to Woking in the next round. And in Rugby League, Wigan's Ben Flower faces a minimum 8-game ban after twice punching a St Helens player in Saturday's Super League Grand Final. He faces a disciplinary hearing tonight. There's been debate about whether it should become a police matter, but Hemel Stags coach Troy Perkins says punishment from the Rugby League authorities should be enough.
It's poor by Ben Flower, but I think you're opening up a can of worms if you start bringing police involved. It's a contact sport, and some things, that happen on the field maybe shouldn't happen, but to take it outside the field is, if you let the judiciary deal with it, he's going to get a big ban, and as I said, he's paid the ultimate price.
BBC Three Counties News and Sports. The next full bulletin is at 8.
If you hear a whisper, give us a shout.
Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Morning, guys. Morning, guys. Busy show today.
It is.
Well,
It will be.
it could be.
It might be.
Has the potential to be.
Well, let's make it a bit busy with some texts.
Oh, yeah. Well, what are we talking about, first of all?
We're talking about the fact that the man who has been approaching children in Dunstable and, we believe, Leighton Buzzard is still at large, and how you teach your children to be wary without making them frightened of the world.
I was slightly confused by our last guest. Maybe I misunderstood. I've got a bit of a fuggy head today. But I can't... She said we don't know what he's approaching them for. Well, it can only be for nefarious activities, can't it?
We've got a theory here from Kay on the text.
Oh,
it
yeah.
says, "Hi Ian, I've been studying psychology for some time now, and I find myself looking at things differently.
Oh.
The guy who's approaching children in Dunstable, although it does sound dodgy, it could be that he has, for instance, lost his own child. Maybe through death or divorce. Hang on.
Well...
And he's so distraught by the loss of his own child, he sits and watches and talks to other children to bring them closer.
No.
This kind of scenario. We do need to try to understand his reasons.
No.
However scared we are, that affects how we find this man.
No.
I'm a mother of 3 myself, so I completely understand the fear, but we do need to try and understand.
No.
Love your show.
No. Well,
Yes.
OK, in that case, yes, you're absolutely right. Spot on. What an excellent point, and so well made. But no, because... We heard from that mum of that 9-year-old boy who was scared. That boy was scared. So what this person is doing is completely inappropriate.
And 9 years old, they're still babies, aren't they?
If a 9-year... I tell you what, as well, if a 9-year-old kicked me in the shin or in the goot or whatever because he thought I was going to molest him, good for him. Well done. Well, if he genuinely did it because he thought he was in danger, good for him. Well done.
Jodie said it's easy to suggest we don't scare our children with stories of bad men, but many children are naive. What were his motives? Please, what upstanding member of the community approaches a young boy that's alone without the intent of harm? We only need to look into the archives of the media to realise how easy it is for a child to go missing. Bring back those adverts with Charlie Says.
Well...
They stick in my mind and I'm still vigilant as an adult. That's from
It's
Jodie.
not that easy for children to go missing. It happened. But I'm assuming by missing, but she means missing by abduction as opposed to wandering off on their own. It's, we are the most protected we've been ever with CCTV cameras, with awareness around this kind of stuff. Anything else?
Yeah, something about Rihanna.
Oh yeah, pop videos are too mucky according to Mel C. Although the video when the Spice Girls were in the desert, then they're all up in their PVC gear.
That wasn't sexy. That was like cartoons.
Catherine, I was a 22-year-old lad when that came out. That was sexy.
Yeah, but I mean, you could watch Betty Boop and find that sexy. Let's be fair. Rihanna isn't the only music artist to have sexy music videos.
Rihanna's a music artist.
What's wrong with them? As the artists look good in what they wear, says Ben in Buckingham.
I don't know what that means. In English, Ben? Is there punctuation and words missing there?
What's wrong with them? As long as they look good, I think is what he means.
Well, they can look good and they can be showing us their cornflakes. We don't need to see too much.
I mean, I see some videos and I think I should come out with a medical degree. You know, please keep some of your mystery, ladies. Either one or the other, not both.
I remember
Some of them show both.
the mid-'80s, the height of do you remember the controversy that was caused when Samantha Fox, with her hit single "Touch Me," appeared on top of the Pops?
Touch me brackets. I want to feel your body. What was that about?
And she had a tiny, tiny rip on the bum of her jeans. Tiny rip. It was about that big. It was quite low down on the buttock, her left buttock. I remember it very, very well. Wonderful rip. But the furore surrounding Sam Fox's gash in her jeans.
Sam Fox, who took her top off for a living, of course.
When she turned 16, if I remember correctly as well. 16.
Now you're lucky if they wear a tiny bit of jean.
Here's the thing. This Judy Finnegan
Right.
mess.
Yes.
It's in all the papers.
She said too much, I think.
Judy is forced to say sorry as hundreds complain. Dennis, stay there. We'll come to you in a second. As hundreds complain. I always worry about doing a serious story before I go to Dennis. Judy is forced to say sorry as hundreds complain about her rape remarks on TV. After more than 5 years away from television, Judy Finnegan returned to our screens and stepped straight into controversy. She was on Loose Women. And, now I need one of the papers. Here we go. So this is her quote about rape. On the TV show, Miss Finnegan said, quotes, this is about this footballer, Ched Evans, who raped someone, gone to prison, maybe going back to a football club. We don't know yet. He, I think, denies that he committed rape, and I think he's appealing. So this is a quote from Judy Finnegan. He served his time. The rape, and I am not pleased by any means minimising any kind of rape, but the rape was not violent. He didn't cause... That sounds like a minimisation to me slightly.
Yeah.
He didn't cause any bodily harm to the person. It was unpleasant. In a hotel room, I believe, and she had far too much to drink. So... let's go through this point by point. The rape, and I'm not pleased by any means minimising any kind of rape, but the rape was not violent. That's the... I'm not racist, but... Any statement of intent followed by "but" is going to be a contradiction.
So if you get raped but they don't hit you, that's non-violent then, is it?
It is, of course, it's sexual violence.
Exactly.
Of course it's violent. It's a physical act carried out against your will. That's violence.
It's aggression. It's, they're using their power.
It didn't cause any bodily harm to the person.
Well...
what about mental harm? It was unpleasant. In a hotel room, I believe. What's that got to do with it? Does that mean that it's better than it being in an alleyway?
This is where she starts saying too much, because she talks about it was in a hotel room, she was drunk. So, I mean, what
she had far too much to drink. And what's your point there? So,
is what she's not saying is that she got herself into that situation? Because that seems to be where it's going.
Then she goes on to say... so now what happened? Now, when he comes out, what are we supposed to do? Just actually refuse to let him do his job, even though he's already been punished. I think the whole thing about him, whether he should play football or not, let's park that to one side. Different thing altogether, and that's been discussed many, many times by loads of different phone-in shows, and I'm not really interested in that. It's what she said. The rape, and I'm not pleased by any means minimising any kind of rape, but the rape was not violent. He didn't cause any bodily harm to the person. It was unpleasant in a hotel room, I believe, and she had far too much to drink. Now I've read it a few times. I can when I first saw it, I kind of thought it had been blown out of proportion ever so slightly, and I think they are making a meal of this. But your thoughts, please, dear listener. 08459 455 555.
I'm very surprised that someone with her length and breadth of broadcasting experience would get herself into such a pickle. Because that's what it is. She's just not stopped talking, has she?
Yeah, that's. You've got to learn to put the brakes on, Judy, innit? 08459 455 555. Your thoughts on that? Do you think she was right? I tell you what, we'll ask. Does it make a difference if the woman is drunk and if it's in a hotel room? Does it make a difference? There might be some people out there going, I don't see what the fuss is. Judy is speaking complete sense. Does it? Can you explain to me how it might make a difference if the woman was drunk? I'd be interested to see if anyone can swing that argument. 08459 455 555. Dennis, let's not talk about that. What have you got for us?
Good morning. Yes, you're insulting the North again.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are. You're going up there and doing... I'll tell you, if you can't speak North to start with, so...
Catherine's my translator.
I know she is, yes. And a lovely girl coming from the North.
She's my... she's my... not idiot savant.
What?
Pashtow. What's the fella from around the world in 80 days?
Passepartout.
You're my passepartout.
Yes, passepartout, yeah.
You're my passepartout.
Excellent.
Bit of sticky paper around you, yes, I know that. But honestly, You look after yourself when you go up north, otherwise you'll get...
They'll have my wallet.
You'll get a draft up your trouser leg, which will burn you to death.
Yeah, well, I could do with a draft, actually. It's a little bit sore at the moment.
Anyway, when you go up there, you're talking about food. Ask for a meat and potato pie.
Oh, no, you got it wrong there, Dennis. Meat and tater.
That's right, meat and potato pie. God knows what the meat is, but I know what the spuds are.
I'll tell you what it is. It's grey, but it's lovely.
Oh, Dennis, you're getting all misty-eyed at the thought of people going to your homeland.
Yes, why not?
Anyone you want us to say hello to?
No, I've got one or two relatives up there now, but they've sort of thrown me out of the place because I've come down south and living with you.
That's not the reason, it's because you're annoying.
Living with you funny people.
That's right.
We're going to Salford, though. That's your old stomping ground, isn't it?
Well, Salford?
Yeah.
No. I was a little bit south of there. Cheshire. I was a Cheshire man, really.
Really?
But about 8 miles south of, Altrincham. Just over the border into Cheshire.
Gosh, I didn't realise we had gentry with us.
Well, there you are, you see. This is where you met all the lovely girls in the dance hall.
OK, Dennis, now it's time to say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you very much indeed. He mentioned Altrincham. Timperley is in Altrincham, I believe.
Is it?
And we're going to get... Frank Sidebottom used to live there, and there's a bloke written a book about him, and we're going to get him on the show. I've booked him.
You've booked him? I thought you were going to get him to talk to me.
Well, I've not booked him, but I've said...
You said Catherine will ring you.
Yeah.
That's booked, isn't it?
I'm hoping to get a free book out of it. That's why I do... hang on a second, where are we? Let me just check. Oh, blimey, it's the BBC. I'm really looking forward to doing an in-depth and revealing interview with him about his new book, about Frank Sidebottom. If he gave me a free one, I wouldn't accept it. I mean, if he insisted...
Well, you'd read it and then you'd give it to a library.
Yeah, I'd give it to a library, innit? That's what I'd do.
Or a children... Is it a children's book? He's got a big moon face, hasn't he?
The kids love Frank Sidebottom. They think he's hilarious. And boy,
oh, dear boss!
Oh, blimey! I wish they'd met him because they would have had so much fun in his presence. He was magical. But I was watching the Frank film, which isn't based on Frank Sidebottom.
No.
And they came in and saw me watching it. They went, "Oh, Frank Sidebottom!" And it's just at the scene where Frank is having a breakdown and he starts effing and jeffing and gets hit by a car.
Oh dear.
Boys, I managed to stop it just before the car scene, but they saw the effing and jeffing.
At least I didn't see the hot tub scene.
08459 455 555 is the telephone number. If you want to give us a call.
Billy Wobbles.
Oh, yeah. Now, who can tell us about Billy Wobbles? Anybody? I'm just reading some email. Ken's busy on the emails today.
Is he? Blimey.
Yeah, very busy on the emails today.
Why did we get talking about Billy Wobbles? Let's just set this up.
Well, we were talking about Snooks.
Yeah, and the Wicked Lady.
And the Wicked Lady.
Who sounds fabulous.
Wicked Lady, I'm gonna see you tonight. Wicked Lady, gonna be doing it all right.
Okay, that's an original hit from Iain Lee. Will not be available in any shops.
I write good songs, man.
Snooks and the Wicked Lady were the scourge of these parts.
I think I've got... weren't Snooks and the Wicked Lady, weren't they an indie band in the early 80s? I'm sure I've got their first album on vinyl.
But anyway, then we got talking about Billy Wobbles.
Billy Wobbles.
He's not talked about enough, is he?
Local legend, Billy Wobbles. We're trying to piece together the Billy Wobbles story. We know he died in 1836. We know he owned a horse called Marbles. But what do we know? What do we know about the man Billy Wobbles? If you can fill in the gaps, please. I tell you what we'll do.
He's a hapless highwayman, wasn't he?
We'll get I know Justin's out doing Rihanna. What I mean by that is Rihanna too rude? Look at Danny. Look. Danny's listening to her own show in her head. I've got no idea what's going on. But we'll send him out on Billy Wobbles as well, see if he can fill in the gaps on the Billy Wobbles story. The story is local and vocal, and we should be celebrating unsung heroes like Billy Wobbles.
So if you know more about Billy Wobbles, 08459 455 555.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Starting off this morning on the Great North Road, looking rather slow at the moment on the speed sensors, approaching the Black Cat roundabouts. The M1's looking slow heading southbound between junction 12 at Flitwick and junction 9 for Redbourne. And the A1M also looking rather heavy just around junction 8 for Stevenage. The M25 heading anti-clockwise, very slow moving between junction 21A for St Albans and junction 16 the M40. So far, taking a look at the A41 on the sensors, that's very heavy between the Hemel Hempstead turn-off and junction 20 for the M25. So far, no reported problems on the trains. Nicola Richards, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much. 7:45. It's Tuesday, the 14th of October. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Bedfordshire Police say they're still trying to identify a man who approached young children on their way to school. The incidents, which happened earlier this year, featured last night on Channel 4's 24 Hours in Police Custody. The first screening of passengers arriving in the UK for possible symptoms of Ebola will begin at Heathrow this morning. And a family from Welwyn Garden City is calling for changes to the law after their baby son was born prematurely and had to stay in hospital, meaning the dad ran out of time to take paternity leave. Right, here's the weather with Kate Kinsella.
Beds, Herts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Good morning. It's a rather damp start to the day. Bit of mist and fog out there as well, particularly for parts of Buckinghamshire. Also a bit of drizzle, bit of light rain. It is a little improvement on yesterday. The rain is a bit lighter. Having said that, I'm just looking at the satellite picture. We have got quite a heavy shower actually just to, kind of near Letchworth at the moment. So there are one or two heavier bursts out there, but predominantly it is a rather drizzly start. The wind a lot less today too. Later on this afternoon we may get a bit of brightness. We may see a glimmer of sunshine the further north you go, but in turn that could spark off one or two potentially heavy showers. Maximum temperature getting up to around 15, maybe 16 Celsius. Overnight tonight, eventually it will dry out. A mild night, mist and fog likely to develop before dawn. The minimum temperature 10 Celsius. A rather murky, cloudy start tomorrow, but quite quiet. But then our next frontal system moves in from the southwest. Some heavy rain arriving tomorrow through the afternoon and into tomorrow evening. Maximum temperature for Wednesday, 15 Celsius.
Thank you very much.
If you've missed any of the programmes from the last week, you've missed things like this.
Hey, what a great way to get things started today. Lost in Music, and that comes from Sister Sledge. Hi, how are you?
But there is a way you can hear it all again.
It's Treasure Quest, live across BBC Radio Northampton and BBC Three Counties Radio. We are on our search for the treasure.
bbc.co.uk/Three Counties Radio, allowing you to listen to what you missed.
Can you ever have too much cake? Discuss?
No, we don't need to discuss that.
Tony Blackman here with you through to 11 o'clock with all this great soul music.
Tower of London was where his daughter lost her head. Thanks a Marillion.
It's a very good recipe.
bbc.co.uk/Three Counties Radio.
Now, yesterday, Catherine, we took a really, I say unpleasant because it was thoroughly unpleasant. A very upsetting phone call yesterday, didn't we? Who did we speak to about 7:30?
We got a phone call from Joanne, who was beside herself. You'll remember this if you were listening around that time, because it set, we went crackers on Facebook and Twitter, because we put a photo out of a woman by the name of Mildred Maisie King, who'd gone missing, 82 years old, gone missing after being taken by a well-meaning neighbour to the shops. Unfortunately, she has dementia, and when she said to the neighbour she'd get the bus back, she kind of forgot about it, and she never came home. A lot of people spent a lot of time looking for her that night. And
gone missing overnight.
Yeah, yep. They were looking for her, so not last night but the night before. They were looking for her into the morning. We have an update for you.
Joanne is back on the line. Good morning, Joanne.
Good morning, Ian.
And I believe it's excellent news.
It's wonderful news.
What happened?
Well, the police found her yesterday morning at 11 o'clock.
Fantastic.
She'd spent the night. She'd got into an overgrown greenhouse, so she was a bit scratched and battered.
Oh, bless her.
But she'd managed to get out of the rain a bit, but she was still quite wet.
Yeah.
Her shoes and socks were soaked through. And the police took her to Lister. There was a 4-hour ambulance strike on, so the police took her rather than an ambulance.
Well, good for them.
And when she arrived, she'd got a temperature of 33.5, so she really was chilled through.
Yeah.
Not a good thing when you're 82. But they covered her with blankets and gradually brought her core temperature up. They used something called a bear hugger, which is... it's sort of an inflatable blanket that you blow hot air into.
Oh, I like the sound of that.
Well, I think she enjoyed it, actually. I think she wanted to take it home. That's.
How was she found, Joanne?
The police found her. They were looking really in the area to the east of the A1, whereas actually she was found to the west, but they'd been concentrating the efforts on the other side, based on the last sighting of her.
And was it just, a couple went, oh, there's a greenhouse over here, let's have a look in here, guys? Or...
No, they searched all night.
Right.
They were really, going through the area really carefully. When I got to where she was found, there were certainly 12 or 13 police officers.
And they had the helicopter out and everything, didn't they?
They did.
Oh, well done them.
The trouble is with thermal imaging from helicopters, if it's really dense undergrowth, it doesn't always pick things up, apparently. So, but heavens, I'm grateful she's been found. Everybody's been so kind. The police have searched endlessly for her. Some friends and volunteers have come out. I mean, I know a fireman who stayed out till 3 a.m. trying to help find her.
Isn't that heartwarming that there are people out there who will do stuff like that?
It's just, there's been a marvellous community spirit with it, and it makes me feel quite humble that people who don't know Mum have taken the time and trouble to care and look for her.
You probably didn't see, but there was a lot of love for Maisie on Twitter and Facebook yesterday as well, because we tweeted her picture and put it on Facebook, and it went wild. People retweeting it and passing on their best. So. Does she remember what happened? Is she well enough to know what happened?
She can remember bits of what happened. She can remember being in Biggleswade and buying some Christmas cards at a very good price. She was really pleased with those. And she went to Sainsbury's and didn't buy chocolates. She bought chocolate biscuits for the neighbour who's broken her hip. But she's a bit hazy after that. But it's probably a night to forget, really, sleeping rough in a greenhouse in the rain.
82.
So.
And how is she now? Is she kind of getting back to normal? Is her temperature normalising?
Well, it took about 6 hours to get her temperature up by 3 degrees.
Yeah.
They've kept her in overnight, which I'm not surprised about, and they were going to do a chest X-ray. But yeah, she's pretty good considering. I think she's tired. I think that's the worst of it at the moment.
Let's be honest. She's had a cracking adventure.
She has.
And, well, bless her. Well, Joanne, that's such good news. We were all so worried yesterday. That really is fantastic news.
I mean, I'd just like to thank everybody from the bottom of my heart, and at the risk of sounding like an Oscar winner, I really would like to thank, the police, all the volunteers, Mum's carers who look after her, all the neighbours who've asked how she is, all the kind messages on Facebook and Twitter. And most of all, as well, to Three Counties for broadcasting it yesterday breakfast to give the best chance of getting this out in the open, so people were looking out for her.
Hey, it's literally our pleasure. Joanne, go and make a fuss of Mum, and, what fantastic news. Thank you so much for letting us know what happened.
Lovely. Thanks ever so much, Ian.
Thank you so much. Isn't that... Let's be honest, we're all fearing the worst.
I didn't think we'd be having this conversation this morning.
What's great as well is the police get knocked a lot. Quite often they deserve it, let's be honest. But sounds like they did a cracking job there. They sounds like they took it... Well, obviously they did take it seriously. They sent the helicopter out and loads of people.
But also those volunteers, volunteers were just general, the general public. And I know a lot of them were looking on our Facebook last night and updating us. So thank you to everyone who took part in that. And that really does warm the cockles, doesn't it, that people care that much.
She's had an adventure, Maisie. She's had an adventure.
Tell you what, I do fancy one of those bear huggers.
Well, you say that just as I look at a picture of Mariah Carey. Yeah, I do. They sound good, don't they? They've got some brilliant stuff in hospitals that you don't see anywhere else. I love the blood pressure machines.
Yeah.
Can you buy those to take home?
But yeah, you can.
Oh, I love the feeling of.
It's that moment where you think, OK, they're going to stop now, aren't they? Aren't they?
You're pulling a face, Danny. You're not a fan of...
No, they make me feel really uncomfortable. Yeah. I don't like that
I love
at all.
Imagine a suit made out of the blood pressure thing. That would be
being swallowed
that
by
would be
a boa constrictor.
Totally. Oh, gosh. Actually, that's doing things to my mind.
But then you'd have a pulse in your head.
It would be awesome.
It's a shame you have to get ill to try these things out, isn't it?
Hey, scientists. I want to work with scientists this morning. When the hell are we going to get those virtual reality suits and headsets that were so big in the mid-90s? You know, the headsets where you could say... And then you'd have a suit, so you'd be able to feel everything. You'd feel the experience. When are they happening? We must have the technology. Surely we should have that as an iPhone app now. We can plug it into our clothes. Back to massage pants. But it should be, shouldn't it? I'm thoroughly disappointed.
Well, don't be disappointed. Get thinking and developing and take it to the Dragons.
I haven't got the technological skills or the impetus. I'm impetusless. I'm impotent.
All right, well, put it in the stack of ideas you've got to give to experts.
I've got some cracking ideas to give to experts. Already, solar windows they're being made. They're actually solar windows, which was my idea 3 days ago. They're being made.
Next big thing, solar bricks.
Yep,
that's my idea.
That's your big thing.
My idea.
Solar panels on a roof. That's another one.
Well, no, I think that might have been.
That might work.
Done.
Yep.
Pavements.
Well, solar roads. There's talk of making solar roads.
But won't they be hot?
It doesn't get hot. It absorbs the heat. You plum. Solar.
Good one.
I've got some texts. Best wishes to Maisie from Wolverhampton, Matt. What's he doing listening? And Billy Wobbles, the local legend, forgotten local hero Billy Wobbles. Yep. We've been asking people if they've got more
Heroes Week, hashtag Heroes Week if you're following us on Twitter.
Billy Wobbles, any relation to Collie? Now, if you're going to be silly about it...
Mate, let's just take the mick, innit?
Yeah.
Let's just take the mick.
Serious. No respect.
08459 455 555 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call. Speaking of which...
I'm being swallowed by a boa constrictor. I'm being swallowed by a boa constrictor. I'm being swallowed by a boa constrictor. And I don't like it very much. Oh no, he swallowed my toe, he swallowed my toe. Oh gee, he's up to my knee, he's up to my knee. Oh fiddle, he's reached my middle, he's reached my middle. Oh heck, he's up to my neck, he's up to my neck. Oh dread, he swallowed my...
So Ken has emailed me on the Judy Finnegan rape story, in as much as, just calm your horses, Mum, in as much as she has said, she seems to imply that there are different kinds of rape, and that if a rape is not violent, and if it happens in a hotel room, and if it happens when the woman is drunk, well, there is, it's not as serious as other rapes.
It's the idea that if it's not physically violent, and I take it she means, with slaps and punches, that it's not a violent thing to do to somebody.
Ken in Redbourne has emailed in, yes, rape is rape, and if found guilty, you should be punished. However, at the point of sentencing, the law recognises degrees of seriousness. We recognise this with murder, first and second degree, and manslaughter. Do we have first and second degree murder in this country? I thought that was an American thing. I thought we had murder and manslaughter. That's it, isn't it? I thought that's it. I don't know. Can you have degrees of rape? Does it really make a difference if the woman is drunk? I can't see that in my head at all, really. If someone doesn't want to have sex with you and you have sex with them, then that's that's completely inappropriate, isn't it? Putting it mildly. Your thoughts on this, please. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Starting off this morning in Milton Keynes, and it's looking rather slow moving on Standing Way at the moment in both directions, just between the Kingston roundabout and Bedford. Taking a look at the M1, very slow moving on the speed sensors between junction 12 for Flitwick and junction 9 at Redbourne. And in Hemel Hempstead, the A41 on the sensors looking rather slow moving, heading southbound between the Hemel Hempstead turn-off and junction 20 for the M25. Having a look so far in Watford, very heavy moving at the moment on Rickmansworth Road, just after the Town Hall roundabout. And the M40 is looking slow from the Denham roundabout to the M25 on camera. So far, not seeing any problems or delays to the trains. Nicola Richards, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much indeed, Nicola. So then, pop stars, are the videos too sexy? I don't know. And is there could be a connection between this, what Judy Finnegan has said about rape? Any ideas, guys?
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 8 o'clock. I'm Simon Oxley. The headlines: Bedfordshire Police still searching for man who approached school children. Screening starts for Ebola at Heathrow. And Hertfordshire family urging change to paternity leave.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Bedfordshire Police say they're still trying to identify a man who approached young children on their way to school. The incidents, which happened earlier this year in Dunstable and Leighton Buzzard, featured last night on Channel 4's 24 Hours in Police Custody. It showed a man being arrested but later released without charge. Speaking on last night's programme, Detective Sergeant Gordon Blair said officers had done all they could.
We exhausted all lines of inquiry. We spoke to everybody that we could possibly speak to. Unfortunately, there's loads of crimes that are unsolved, and will we ever find out who tried to approach that young girl or grab her? Or I don't think so. I don't think I failed, because we did everything we could.
The first screening of passengers arriving in the UK for possible symptoms of Ebola will begin this morning. Border staff at Heathrow's Terminal 1 will question anyone who has come from the worst affected countries: Liberia, Sierra Leone and Guinea. The measures will be extended to other terminals, Gatwick Airport and Eurostar, within days. Police are appealing for witnesses after yesterday morning's fatal crash on the M25 in Hertfordshire. A 37-year-old man died after his black VW Passat hit a barrier on the anti-clockwise carriageway between junctions 22 and 21 at 6:30. A family from Welwyn Garden City is calling for changes to the law after their baby son was born prematurely and had to stay in hospital, meaning the dad ran out of time to take paternity leave. Mum Kirsty told this programme they're now in discussion with their partner's company as their baby arrives home today.
It was 2 weeks ago when we found out, he'd be coming home soon, which was great. He went in, said to work, I'm going to need my paternity leave soon. And his HR for his company turned around and said, "You've lost your entitlement. The baby's too old."
The Environment Agency has issued a flood alert for the River Lee at Luton, Harpenden and Wheat Hampstead. Meanwhile, police and the fire service in Hertfordshire say they took numerous calls to deal with flooding in the east of the county yesterday evening. An 82-year-old woman with dementia is recovering in hospital after going missing from her Biggleswade home for nearly 24 hours. Mildred King, who's known as Maisie, was found in a greenhouse not far from her home on Monday morning. She disappeared after going shopping on Sunday. Her daughter Joanne says the family have been touched by everyone's concern.
I really would like to thank, the police, all the volunteers, mum's carers who look after her, all the neighbours who've asked how she is, all the kind messages on Facebook and Twitter. And most of all, as well, to Three Counties for broadcasting it yesterday breakfast to give the best chance of getting this out in the open.
In sport, Wales are top of their qualifying group for Euro 2016 after beating Cyprus 2-1 in Cardiff. The weather starting wet and overcast, but becoming drier and brighter. Still the chance of a heavy shower later, though. A maximum temperature 16 degrees Celsius. And you can get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/Three Counties.
Today on BBC Three Counties Radio.
From 9.
The JVS Show.
With the big phone-in, the hottest topic of the day and your consumer problems.
From 12.
Nick Coffer.
With Robert Webb and Neil Morrissey talking about their new West End play, and a very sweet dog called Esther who's desperately looking for a home.
From 3.
Roberto Peroni.
I'm here with a roundup of the day's news, the latest travel and your stories.
From 7.
Mark Forrest.
I'll bring you the best bits from everything that's been happening on BBC Local Radio.
Today on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Can't call a dog Esther, you're right, Catherine. Ridiculous name.
Out of order.
Out of
Pam,
order.
Sue, Wendy, yes.
Thank you. Sue?
Yeah.
You can't call a dog Sue, it's a boy's name.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, she'll toughen up.
Yeah. Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. It's a very, very busy show this morning. Fake it to make it. Fake it to make it. Hugs, not drugs. Fake it to make it, guys. So, child abductions hasn't actually happened yet, but it might do. You never know. Probably won't. But there is someone wandering around who's scaring children. What should we do about that? We're also talking about paternity leave. And also this story in the newspapers. Judy Finnegan, her comments about rape. She says she doesn't want to minimise any kind of rape, then goes on to minimise some kinds of rape. Well, the implication is, if it's not violent, and if the woman is sober, well, it's not as bad as other rapes. Is that right? Can you kind of see what she's saying? I'm scratching my head. I don't get it. Surely any forced act is thoroughly unpleasant. 08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
But isn't that what Judy Finnegan does? Says things that are a little bit beyond the pale. And isn't it? Was this her first?
It's normally Richard. It's normally her reining him in.
Well, yeah, it's true actually. Maybe they need each other. And this was this her first appearance on Loose Women?
I suspect it was.
You know.
Do you know what I see? A woman who started talking and didn't know when to stop. But I mean, the thing she said. Ridiculous.
She goes on to what she apologised. Can I read the apology, right? Because let me read the whole thing, okay? Just indulge me 2 minutes, okay? Because some people may have just tuned in. This is what she said about the footballer Ched Evans, who was convicted of rape and may or may not be playing for Sheffield Wednesday soon. Sheffield United, sorry. He served his time, the rape, and I'm not pleased by any means minimising any kind of rape, but the rape was not violent. He didn't cause any bodily harm to the person. It was unpleasant. In a hotel room, I believe, and she had had far too much to drink. Sounds like a minimisation. But then listen to the apology. I absolutely wasn't suggesting that rape was anything other than an horrendous crime, and as I said on the programme, I was in no way attempting to minimise the terrible ordeal that any woman suffers as a result. The point I was attempting to raise as part of the debate was what should happen to someone after they've committed and served their crime. I apologise unreservedly for any offence that I may have caused as a result of the wording I've used. Well, she's not apologised for the hotel statement and the drink statement. She's not apologised. She can say, I wasn't attempting to minimise, but she actually did, and she's not apologised for that.
It's the idea that just because there are no punches or kicks involved, that there wasn't an act of violence. It's always violence.
There's a text about this, isn't there?
Yes, there is.
Which I think is quite interesting.
It's quite forthright. Yeah. Brace yourself. It says the people supporting Finnegan probably also support Clarkson and think Farage is an all right bloke. Idiots, says Mark in Bedford.
Over to you, because there will be some people listening to this going, well, come on.
What was she doing in his room? Why is she drunk so much?
If she was drunk and was in his hotel room, then she was there for one thing and one thing only. Wow. There will be people thinking that. I'm hoping they're brave enough to give us a call this morning and let us know. 08459 455 555. Can you understand what Judy Finnegan was getting on about? If the woman is drunk and is in someone's hotel room, well, there is an implicit non-verbal communication that, you know, sex is on the cards. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number. Now, Bedfordshire Police say they're still trying to identify a man who approached a number of young girls on their way to school. One of the incidents, which happened earlier this year near Ardley Hill Academy in Dunstable, was featured on 24 Hours in police custody last night. Jeanette is the mother of a 9-year-old boy at the school who was a recent victim of an attempted abduction. She spoke to our reporter Tony Fisher.
Well, I've been walking into school all the time, obviously, because he's, in lower school. But now, since it's changed to an academy, I thought I would let him walk the last little bit on his way when there's no roads to cross on his own, because he would have done that if he'd have been in middle school. He would have walked to school on his own like all his brothers and sisters did. And I'd let him walk down by the co-op. I was with him. And then from the co-op to here, he was walking on his own. He'd done that since September. I got home, started drinking a cup of coffee, got a phone call, get down to school immediately. And a man in a blue car had pulled over from the other side of the road onto this side of the road, got out of the car and tried to approach my child. My child kicked him and ran into the school.
Your son kicked him?
Yeah.
How did you feel?
Well, absolutely gutted, but glad he'd done the right thing because he'd kicked him and got away. And since then now I've heard about lots of other children being followed in cars.
So do you think this man was following your son?
I don't know if it was a spur-of-the-moment thing. I'm not too sure what's happened, but it was a man in a blue car who got out of the car, tried to approach my son.
And what do you think he was trying to do?
Have no idea. I wouldn't like to guess what he was going to try and do, but why would an adult try and approach a 9-year-old boy who he didn't know?
So he was on the way to school, he got to school safely, you came round.
Yeah, he got to school. I was down here within 5 minutes, and then the police were called, and then the police took a statement off my son with one of the teachers present, because it happened. They came at one point during the day when I was at home, and then the school informed me that the police had been.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah.
And he's year 5, isn't he?
He's year 5.
Okay. And so now, what do you do now? Do you let him
Now
walk
I
on?
walk him to school and I stay with him until that gate is locked.
Right, okay. And
Just like I'd done previously since he was at nursery to the end of year 4. But yeah.
It's a bit sad, though, that you can't...
It's really sad because, as I said, I've got 3 other children and they had all, in year 5, gone to middle school and walked on their own and walked with their friends. And, you know, that's their bit of independence from the age of 9. They've always been allowed to go down the shop and now you just can't do it.
So how's he feeling now? Because the head said he was a little bit shaken up.
Yeah, well, he's still quite traumatised about it. He's holding my hand really tight now and saying to me, make sure the bad man doesn't get me. The bad man's not following us, is he? The bad man's not going to be about. Is the bad man knowing where I live?
Well, joined now by Dr. Dave Williams, Senior Lecturer in Forensic Psychology at the University of Hertfordshire School of Psychology. Morning, Dave.
Hi, Lee. Morning.
If these incidents are linked, then there is... they seem quite persistent, don't they?
Well, it has been a little while since the last incident reported to the police, and they're spread over quite a period of time. So I'm not sure that we could say they were, increasing in frequency.
Well, if we assume it's the same person, and this is an assumption, what would be the explanation for the gaps between each incident?
Well, that is a little bit puzzling. It's not as if there's a one-size-fits-all situation with abduction, and thankfully abduction is extremely rare. But it is a little bit puzzling that if this is a person that has gone as far as wanting to make contact with their potential victims, that there have been so many occasions where they've actually, and thankfully so, failed to do so.
Is it true that if someone, that quite often offenders, and I'm being careful because we don't know who or what this bloke is, but if offenders, they kind of set themselves lines and then they go up to that line and the buzz or the hit gets weaker and weaker, so they go further and further in what they attempt to do?
Well, that can be the case with some types of offences, but certainly in the case of something as serious as potential abductions, in most cases, people who have a motivation to do that actually won't be acting upon it. It is in very rare cases that somebody gets to a point where they have gone beyond fantasising, imagining, thinking about victims and actually want to act on their intentions.
Let's assume for a second that this gentleman is not in any way a sex criminal or has malicious thoughts like that. Someone texted in that maybe he's lost his own child and is just looking to communicate with children. Could that be a possible explanation?
Well, it is hard to say what might be motivating somebody who is approaching children, if that is, if these things are linked and if that's what's happening in every case. You'd have to say it was a sad reflection on our times that, people would find that more innocent interpretation less likely than the more serious possibilities.
And would people around him necessarily notice any difference in his mood or his behaviour before or after making one of these approaches?
Well, if it was a situation where we were looking at perhaps the most serious type of abductions, yes, it isn't impossible that if somebody is fitted into a broader social network, that things like stress or removing the inhibitors that would allow somebody to act on their desire, for instance, they start drinking, their routines and their activities change such that they're in situations where they could be exposed to children. For example, if somebody's working, they're not likely to be around at the times kids are about. And certainly as kids become more independent and older, they'll travel further from home, and that could make them more accessible to a attacker than otherwise. But their family members could spot something. But as I say, most of our data from this, most of the research that backs this up, comes from looking at general cases. In any individual case, it's kind of hard to say.
Dave, how much fun is... sorry, just go off on a tangent. How much fun is forensic psychology? Because for about 23 years ago, for about 20 minutes, I considered it as a possible life option. Catherine, my producer, is saying the same thing. It must be fascinating.
It is fascinating, yeah. Yeah.
Dave, thank you very much indeed. That's Dr. Dave Williams, senior... Imagine me as a forensic psychologist, Catherine.
I know.
Don't nobody touch anything. We've not found any clues. Well, hang on a second. Did you not find this?
Did you read The Jigsaw Man by Paul Britton?
No.
Oh my goodness, you need to read that.
Why?
Because that's what fired me up about forensic psychology.
Is there a film?
I think things got a bit...
Is there a film of it?
No.
I won't bother.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Rather slow moving in Milton Keynes on Standing Way at the moment between Newport Road and Junction 13 for the M1. The M1 itself rather heavy moving heading southbound between Junction 12 for Flitwick and Junction 9 at Redbourne. Getting reports in of Lower Luton Road at the moment being closed between Bower Heath Lane and Airport Way due to some flooding there. Also in Hemel Hempstead, very slow moving on the A414 between Junction 7 for Hemel Hempstead and Leverstock Green Way. Taking a look so far at the M25 heading clockwise, it's looking very slow because of an accident just between junction 15 for the M4 and junction 16 for the M40. So far no reported problems on the trains. Nicola Richards, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you so much. 8:16. It's Tuesday the 14th of October. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Bedfordshire police say they're still trying to identify a man who approached young children on their way to school. The incidents, which happened earlier this year, featured last night on Channel 4's 24 Hours in Police Custody. The first screening of passengers arriving in the UK for possible symptoms of Ebola will begin at Heathrow this morning. And a family from Welwyn Garden City is calling for changes to the law after their baby son was born prematurely and had to stay in hospital, meaning the dad ran out of time to take paternity leave.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
And breathe.
Good morning.
You right?
Yes, you?
Bit tired. Slept terribly last night. It was cold. Too cold.
Oh.
Freezing cold.
We'll put your heating on.
No, not until November.
Really?
Until November.
I've had my log burner crackling and crisping away.
Gosh.
Actually, I paint a picture. I had a devil light in the blooming thing last night.
Yeah, I bet.
An hour it took me. Kept going out.
You don't know how to start a fire, basically?
Well, sometimes I do. I've been lighting fires for the last week or so.
Yeah.
And some nights are good. It all gets going quite quickly. Other nights, I light it and then I think, right, that's so lovely.
What are you using?
And it goes out. Well, last night I used firelighters, kindling, and logs. But I think my logs might have been a little bit damp.
Mate...
What?
Mate. Oh, for goodness' sake.
You're going to say petrol, aren't you?
No. No. We haven't got a fire in our house anymore. One of my great joys and great pleasures was starting a fire.
It is nice.
You're missing it. It was wonderful. It's so satisfying. It's like cooking a meal. But the one thing you're missing newspaper.
No, apparently you shouldn't use newspaper.
Who's told you that?
It blocks up your chimney.
Oh, no, it doesn't. It burns.
Yeah, but it produces a lot of ash.
Oh, mate. Whoever told you that should be sacked from their job as a fire starter.
It's a chimney sweep.
Well, chimney sweep. What do they know about fires?
It was a HETAS, HETAS, well, however you pronounce it, registered chimney sweep.
It's his job to clean out your detritus from your chimney.
Yes.
Newspapers. Otherwise you won't get anywhere, mate. Good luck. I've given you the answer. If you don't want to take it up, that's your problem.
So, do I use firelighters as well as the newspaper? Right.
Yeah, it's a tri-layered thing. Firelighters, newspaper, kindling, wood. Not counting the wood as the tri.
But you don't put the wood on until it's all crackling away.
Yeah, you go... Well, no. Oh, for goodness sakes. You have a couple of logs on there.
What to start with?
Oh, mate. Yes!
No, you have to get the kindling going first.
Oh, for good... OK.
You have to get the kindling really going, and then you put the log on.
OK, you have a cold winter spending hours trying to light your fire, OK? I'll have the knowledge in my head that I could help you out any time you wanted that help.
08459 455 555 if anyone has a...
Best way how to start a fire.
Log burner.
I'm correct. What's on your show this morning?
Discussing, I heard you mention this earlier, Judy Finnegan's comments on Loose Women yesterday. From 9 this morning, I'm going to be asking, was Judy Finnegan right to apologise for her comments about rape? She's apologised for comments she made yesterday about former Sheffield United footballer and convicted rapist Ched Evans. She told the panel on ITV's Loose Women that it could be wrong to ban Ched from ever playing football again, as the rape for which he was convicted was not violent and the woman involved was drunk. Evans has served half of a 5-year sentence for being convicted of raping a 19-year-old woman in 2011. Judy Finnegan has explained in today's papers she wasn't suggesting rape was anything other than a horrendous crime. She was simply trying to debate what should happen to people once they've committed a crime and served their time. But certainly the way it came across, even though she was very, very keen to point out that she was in no way condoning what he'd done, it suggested that some rapes are perhaps not as serious, not as extreme as other rapes.
Yep.
But is that an outrageous thing to suggest?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, from 9 this morning, I want your views. Was Judy Finnegan right to apologise for her comments about rape? 08459 455 555. I look forward to hearing from you from 9.
On Saturday, get ready for an afternoon full of excitement.
Oh, it's an amazing goal. Sam Wood has just clinched the Goal of the Season award.
Three Counties Sport is here from 2 with unrivalled coverage of all our local teams.
How about that for Mattia Fidra?
Wickham, Stevenage, MK Dons, Watford and Luton are all in action.
Curling shot. What a goal from Lawless. It was always there. You could see it coming. And Stevenage, well, lightning start for them.
We'll bring you all the build-up, live commentary and all the reaction after the final whistle.
We're a little bit sloppy at times today, but we've won 2-0.
Three Counties Sport. Saturday from 2 here on BBC Three Counties Radio.
08459 455 555 is the phone number. Catherine?
Sharon on the text thinks she's seen beyond the curtain. I think Judy F set out to say something that would bring attention to herself and advertise her new role on TV to let people know she's back on the scene.
Do you know what? I thought that, but actually I don't think that.
Why would you want to be known for this?
I think she genuinely thinks it. I think she genuinely believes it.
Someone else who doesn't leave their name says the village is missing an idiot. Oh, wait, her name is Judy Finnegan. I think that's a little...
That's
little harsh. There's some suggestions for Teddy Boy about. Do you know Justin earlier on was talking about snooks?
Where on earth has Justin been all morning?
He's going to do something for after 8 o'clock. After 8:30.
We're after 8 o'clock.
After 8:30.
What was happening between 7 and 8? Was he having a growler? Lie down.
He was running around a rock in the middle of Hertfordshire, which is apparently the way to raise a dead highwayman.
He was being chased by a spook.
He
Slither.
says, "Don't."
Sorry.
Teddy Boy says, "Tell J-Dog you have to wail a diddly quack-quack while running around the hanging stone. Also, there is a Snooks pool, which is a fishing lake by the Texaco on the old A41. That's handy for Snooks.
Hi, weirdos.
It's very handy for Snooks, isn't it?
You can fill up Black Bess. Oh, no, that was actually not
for goodness
the real
sakes.
horse of your man thingy.
Dick Turpin?
Yeah.
If you're going to be a highwayman, don't call yourself Dick. I like Swift Nick. Sunday evenings, tea time. Dick Turpin, Richard O'Sullivan, Swift Nick, wonderful.
What was Swift Nick?
It was his mate.
Was it?
It was his pal, yeah. His blonde, good-looking pal for the girls.
Oh, right.
He was always in Looking magazine.
I thought that Richard O'Sullivan was rather dashing.
Oh, they should show... That was a great programme.
It was great. Maybe if we watched it again, though, we'd see it was rubbish.
Probably. Right, shall I carry on?
Go on.
Thank you very much indeed. Now, a new dad from Welwyn Garden City has lost his entitlement to paternity leave because he wanted to take it once his premature baby was home from hospital, not from the day the baby was born. Jensen was born 11 weeks early and was very poorly, so his parents thought they'd save their leave until they could all be home together. But Dad's bosses has had other ideas and insist that any paternity leave should have been taken within 56 days of the birth. Well, Dad's now in dispute with the company. Joining me is Sally Brett, the Senior Equality Officer at the Trades Union Congress. Morning, Sally.
Morning.
Does he stand a chance?
Well, I think there is a chance that the HR department or his manager have made a mistake in this instance, because there is a 56-day limit for taking paternity leave, and that is normally from the date of the birth. But there is some accommodation in the legislation for premature births, so it should have been 56 days from the due date in the case of a premature birth.
I see, OK.
However, if it was quite a poorly baby... 56 days is 8 weeks. There's still a chance that they could have been in hospital in a special baby care unit, which still would have made it difficult for them to take their leave within 56 days.
If I remember this correctly, Sally, in this instance, the baby's still not due yet, and he's 9 weeks old already, so that should work in his favour, shouldn't it?
Well, in that case, yes, it should. It should.
Do some companies just not know the law and their responsibilities?
Absolutely. In instances, particularly of maternity leave and paternity leave and other parental rights, I think people just make quick decisions and think they know the law, but actually they don't know some of the finer detail like in this instance, of some of the differences that apply in the case of a premature birth.
There's always the worry, and we spoke to the mum, there's always the worry of pushing something too much and upsetting the boss.
Well, there is, but you also need to be clear that this is basic employment rights that apply to every qualifying employee. And if you can't stand up and get your boss to follow the basic employment rights, then they will just do whatever they want in most instances if they know they can get away with it. And there is a chance that there's just been a genuine mistake made here. I mean, quite often, as trade unionists, we have people come to us with issues like this. And if you go in and say, actually, this is what the law says, I've gone and sought advice, or my rep has told me this is actually the case and you may have got it wrong, then sometimes they will back down and apologise.
I have no idea what company he works for. I deliberately don't know, so I can't accidentally drop myself in it. But for smaller companies, maternity and paternity leave, well, it can be quite expensive for them, can't it? If you've only got a handful of employees, for someone to disappear for a few weeks can be tricky to manage.
Yes, but I mean, there are myths around this. First, that all employers can reclaim the statutory pay that they pay out to employees when they're on leave. So there isn't that expense. They can reclaim that from HMRC. Yes, there is some disruption, but that's part of employing human beings who have children and sometimes get ill and sometimes need annual leave. And if you support your employees through these circumstances, you will end up with a more productive and committed workforce. Otherwise, you're just going to have huge problems with the recruitment and retention and continually burning out your employees.
Sally, I really appreciate your thoughts on this morning. Thank you very much. Sally Brett, Senior Equality Officer at the TUC.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
I did realise then, I said I thought I said a very, very silly thing to Sally there. He doesn't want to, you've got to be careful, haven't you, upsetting your boss. Well, she's from the TUC. They upset bosses all the time, rightfully so quite often, but they're not bothered about that. Of course they're not. They're bothered about the workers' rights, and well done them for thinking that, indeed.
Well, I'm glad that you rectified that.
Yes, that's been rectified. I'm flagging today. I've not eaten anything.
Well, you'll be delighted to know I'm hearing rumours about Billy Wobble. We're getting closer to the legend of Billy Wobble.
Just refresh our memories about Billy Wobble.
It's sketchy, OK, which is why we need people with great local knowledge.
We've heard about Snooks.
Snooks the Highwayman, the Wicked Lady of Mark Yates' Cell.
Wah!
And now Billy Wobbles.
Oh, I'm having a stretch.
Or William Wobbles, of course, if you're going to be more formal. And his horse named Marbles.
Yep.
Of course, they were the scourge of the A6, apparently, back in the day. And then it gets really sketchy. I know that there are two stories about him. One about a parson's nose and one about a lady's finger. But apart from that, we don't know much more.
Gosh. Well, that's exciting. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number. If you want to give us a call on that, you can also text 81333, start your text 3CR, or give us an email. Iain. I'm just filling, I'll shut up.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Starting off in Milton Keynes, and it's very slow moving on Standing Way at the moment between the Kingston roundabout and Bedford. Having a look at the M1, that's looking quite heavy heading southbound between junction 12 at Flitwick and junction 9 for Redbourne. I'm getting reports in that Lower Luton Road at the moment is closed between Bowerheath Lane and Airport Way due to some flooding there. The M25 heading clockwise is queuing at the moment between junction 15 for the M4 and junction 16 for the M40 on camera. This is due to an accident that's happened there. And having a look so far at the M25 heading anti-clockwise, that's queuing on the sensors between junction 19 at Watford and junction 16 for the M40. So far, taking a look at the trains, everything's running to time. No reported problems or delays. Nicola Richards, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 8:30. I'm Simon Oxley. Bedfordshire Police say they're still trying to identify a man who approached young children on their way to school. The incident, which happened early this year, featured last night on Channel 4's 24 Hours in Police Custody. The first screening of passengers arriving in the UK for possible symptoms of Ebola will begin at Heathrow this morning. Police have arrested 6 people following an operation by the South East Counter-Terrorism Unit. The 3 men and 3 women are from Portsmouth, Farnborough and Greenwich in South East London, and a family from Welwyn Garden City is calling for clarity in the law after their baby son was born prematurely and had to stay in hospital, meaning the dad ran out of time to take paternity leave.
3 Counties Sports.
BBC 3 Counties Radio.
Wales are top of their qualifying group for Euro 2016 after beating Cyprus 2-1 in Cardiff. Elsewhere, Watford duo Matej Vydra and Daniel Pudil were unused subs as the Czech Republic won 4-2 in Kazakhstan. Watford's Akechi Anya is an injury down for Scotland's match in Poland tonight. The winger missed training yesterday. MK Dons duo Will Grigg and Ben Reeves are with the Northern Ireland squad in Greece. Also tonight, the Republic of Ireland are away to world champions Germany. Former England midfielder Phil Neville says he's not surprised that Roy Hodgson decided to rest Raheem Sterling for England's match in Estonia. The Liverpool player was given a break after saying he was tired. Neville says it'll happen again.
I look at the bigger picture here, and I think we'll see it a lot more in this group because the group is so poor and it's so weak, and we will win without certain players in certain games. You'll see this happen throughout the group stages where certain managers will put pressure on their players to maybe pull out of games or to come off maybe early in games, because we're going to stroll through this group. We all know that already.
Boreham Wood are through to the FA Cup 4th qualifying round after a 1-0 replay win at home to Frome last night. The Hertfordshire side will travel to Woking in the next round. And in Rugby League, Wigan's Ben Flower faces a minimum 8-game ban after twice punching a St Helens player in Saturday's Super League Grand Final. He faces a disciplinary hearing tonight. BBC 3 Counties News and Sport. The next full bulletin is at 9.
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC 3 Counties Radio.
Right, so lots to talk about this morning. We're talking about paternity leave. We are talking about Judy Finnegan, kind of implying that there are different levels of rape. Well, a rape's a rape, isn't it? Really? Forced, I keep going to say forced entry, that's inappropriate. But forced sexual activity is a forced sexual activity.
She used the words that it wasn't physically violent or something, didn't she?
Does it make a difference if the woman's drunk? No, I think is the obvious answer. But if you disagree, could you call me up and let me know why you disagree?
There are people who will say that, yes, it does. If she was drunken in a man's hotel room, then, of course, that's going to happen. Really? Are we animals?
08459 455 555. And we've got beyond the thing of women, what they wear being responsible for rape, haven't we?
I hope so.
Women can wear what they want and they're not, do you remember the phrase, asking for it?
Can they dance how they want as well while wearing those clothes that they want?
Well, they can do.
They have a drink?
Well, possibly. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number.
Can they have a laugh with a person who happens to be a man?
And not end up having sex with them against their will. We're also talking about pop videos. Are they too mucky? Mel C has come out and had a pop at Rihanna, isn't it?
Yes.
But then someone has tweeted, someone on Facebook, sorry, actually. Have you seen this comment? Craig has said, Mrs. Pot, can I introduce you to Miss Kettle? And he's posted a picture of Mel C and the Nuddy.
Is she dancing on the telly?
No.
OK, was it in a gentleman's magazine?
I don't know.
Was it in a children's comic?
I don't know. It wasn't in Looking magazine.
No.
It wasn't the Bangles. You think there's a difference? Is there a difference?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I do. I think
she's still a pop star.
I think that these music videos are a way... They're supposed to be for everyone, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're on channels that everyone watches.
Well,
but we don't anymore.
No.
It's not safe to leave things like MTV on and go out of the room these days. You end up having to explain all kinds of biological functions.
A pop video's too mucky. Would you let your kids watch them? 08459 455
And listen,
555.
who hasn't been to a family do where there's been some inappropriate dancing by children?
Oh, God, 7-year-old girls twerking? Hey, I mean, come on, guys. Although saying that, my 2.5-year-old was busting some very weird moves last night that did involve a lot of grabbing his bottom. I don't know what's going on.
Postman Pat's fault, though, wasn't it?
No, it may have been Postman Pat's fault. He learnt some of it from Postman Pat, but we were having a little piano disco in the house again, and he goes, no. The youngest does this dancing. He does this incredibly insane dancing where his whole body is absorbed by the music and he expresses it in this incredible way. I am the only person that's seen it. It's like Mr. Snuffleupagus. Whenever Big Bird would call someone over to meet Mr. Snuffleupagus, Mr. Snuffleupagus would have gone. So Linda comes over going, what's wrong, Big Bird? There's nobody here. They all think that he was a lunatic.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with the dancing. Every time the boy does the dancing, I call in someone, he stops doing the dancing. They think he's Mr. Snuffleupagus.
He knows that you are the only audience that would appreciate it.
Man,
Did he learn it from you?
Possibly. I've got a few moves up which you might see in Salford if we have a few bevies tonight. Mark's in Milton Keynes. Morning, Mark.
Hi, Ian.
What you got for us, boss?
You were talking about paternity leave.
Yes.
Yeah, I had a situation back in 2010, so the rules might have changed since. But the situation that I had was I was working as a night receptionist. I'd done the occasional daytime shift for them as well. But in the regulations, you have to actually give set notice of when you intend to take your paternity leave.
Right. Oh.
Yeah. And so not a lot of employers enforce this, but the company that I was working for did enforce it. And you had to take it from the due date was the earliest time you could take it from. Now, I actually booked it from the due date because I was only doing 2 shifts in a company week for them, but in reality it was actually 4 shifts week 1, 2 shifts week 2, no shifts week 3.
Yeah.
So I only booked a week off for maternity instead of the 2 because I only had 2 shifts and then I weren't going to be working again for ages. And who's now my ex-partner went about 10 days over. So I actually got a phone call asking if I could come back and do extra shifts and stuff, and she hadn't actually gone into hospital and had the baby yet.
Oh.
In the end, the main employer decided to do a compromise with me because she had staff shortages in reception as well as in the housekeeping department. So I actually had to go back to work and do my contracted hours, but I had to work as a housekeeper.
Here's the thing. I don't get paternity leave. Why should a bloke get time off because the wife's had a baby? I don't get paternity leave. Let me put my cards on the table. I don't get it, Mark.
Well, not in 2010, but in 2006, after my ex-partner had the baby, she was rushed into hospital and had stitches and was in a very bad way.
Yeah.
So I actually, back then I was self-employed, so I didn't take paternity leave. I just chose myself not to work. But in situations like that, it is handy for to actually have some support.
Yeah, use a bit of holiday. I'm not having a go, Mark. I'm just kind of putting my cards on the table. 2.5 hours, perhaps too late. Would that not be an option?
Well, it can be, but again, you've got a situation with a lot of employers where you do actually put your holiday in.
Yeah, you're right. It's easy for me because I've got a silly job where I can swan in and out wherever I like. Mark, listen, thank you very much indeed. It's not the best line. I don't get paternity leave. There we go. I've said it. I've said it.
Well, it's the start of your team, isn't it? That's the whole point of paternity leave.
Take holiday.
Well, why should you?
Well, why should you get? Why should you?
Maybe twice, 3 times in your life you're going to use it.
I've been struggling to get my head around this story, and finally I've got it. And the thing is, I don't get paternity leave. Why should the government, why should your employer pay you to take time off to go and have a little jolly with your new family?
Because it's the formation of a beautiful new bedrock of society.
OK, and so take holiday. If it's that important to you, take holiday. Use up some of your holiday. I've got none left. Well, tough then.
Some people won't be
I'll let you have I'll turn a blind eye. You can have a couple of days on the sick.
Some people won't be able to afford to do that.
Well, then don't have kids.
Make sure that everyone has the opportunity to just spend that precious time together.
Oh, for goodness sakes. But you know what? I took 2 weeks off when the first one was born. I couldn't wait to get back. Couldn't wait to get back to work.
Really?
Oh, it did my nut in. I mean, it was wonderful. It's magical, but flipping it. Shut up and go to sleep. You're sleeping in the daytime. You're not sleeping in the night time. What's your beef, baby?
Actually, it's probably best you didn't take leave.
When my youngest was about a month old, I took him into the radio station, right? And we did this really silly prank. Me and my then producer, we did the show, and I went, "Oh, I just noticed there's a baby in the studio." And she went, "Oh yeah, I'm babysitting for extra cash." And I did this big thing. You can't babysit for extra cash. We're doing a radio show. You can't bring a baby in. Everyone suckered into it. Everyone thought that my then producer was earning an extra 20 quid by looking after a baby during the show.
Is that what the rate is now?
I've got no idea.
Bring the kids in.
Oh, it'd be like £10 an hour.
I'll do it.
Oh, flipping it. I don't...
We would never do pranks like this on this programme.
You're not allowed to.
No, not at all, and we would never do that. I mean, we don't need to resort to cheap tricks like that.
No.
I am asking, though, this morning, if you know about the legend of Billy Wobbles. It's a local legend, the scourge of the A6, him and his trusty horse. We believe a highwayman, otherwise what's he doing on the A6 being the scourge?
Yeah.
Trusty horse marbles, something about... There's two stories, one about a parson's nose, one about a lady's finger.
Have you managed to find out much about Billy Wobbles, Just?
Not this morning, but I told you all about Snooks, which is where this all started.
You told us a lot of myths about Snooks.
No.
Justin, now listen, I should have done this at the top of the show. I bet you agree with me. I don't get paternity leave.
I think it's very unfair on small businesses who are struggling greatly, and we should be doing all we can to keep those businesses alive, and it's coming, unfortunately, out of their pocket.
Use your holiday.
Yeah.
Use your holiday.
I totally agree. I totally agree with you.
And it's one of those things, and listen, you know me, Catherine, I am a very forward-thinking, left-leaning gentleman, and I think that you birds do a cracking job, considering everything that happens to you every month. But I don't get paternity leave.
Right, that's because you are a man.
No, I'm paternity leave, but paternity.
No, but what
I'm a man.
You, as the woman who was on maternity leave and was left on her own after the 2 weeks...
Get your mum round.
I do think it is a person's choice to have a child. Why should that responsibility...
What person? No, it's a couple's choice.
OK, it was a couple's choice.
Not
but why
always.
should that responsibility come back to a company, an employer, and it's going to come out of his pocket? It's your choice, not his.
Oh, I can't wait till you have kids.
Is your sister not free? She could do the cleaning.
Listen... As it stands, you lot get all the fun bit and none of the nasty bit.
As long as my supper's ready when I get home.
Take 2 weeks off, warm the casserole up, massage my feet. If you don't mind running the hoover around now and again, is it too much to ask?
It's important time for you to bond with the baby. I'll see him in the evening. Hey, it's double tough for me, right? It's double tough for me because that baby is up all night, right? I don't get home till 8 o'clock and I leave at 6:30 in the morning. I'm exhausted. You get to sleep in the day in front of Murder, She Wrote.
But strangely, the man always sleeps really, really soundly through the crying and stuff.
Did with my first one, because he wasn't breastfeeding, we had to do it on the bottle. We had to feed him with a pipette. We took turns, alternated through the night, so you can take that back.
All right, fair enough. You've had it really tough. How was your groin?
Well,
intact.
It was...
Well, you got one on me.
And that's the problem. I can't get one on you. You won't let me go? 08459 455 555 is the telephone number.
I think we win, girls. I think we win.
There's police tape.
In many ways we lose.
There's police tape all around it. Do not enter. Now, Justin.
Yes. Yes, boss.
I suspect I may not be here tomorrow. Justin, you are sexy Rihanna. Is Rihanna too rude? That was it.
Yeah, that's the one. Music videos. Mel C in the papers today saying that she won't allow her 5-year-old child to watch the videos because they are too sexy, they're too raunchy. Well, Iain, I've been asking parents this morning, would they allow their young children to watch these videos? Some very interesting views coming up here. Here's what people had to say.
No, I wouldn't. I think it's terrible. 5 years old, they shouldn't be doing that.
Tell me why. What's so terrible about these videos?
Because it's really raunchy and it's not for a 5-year-old to be seen at that age.
Just be honest, do you think you're a bad parent if you allow your child, who is very young, around 5 years old, to watch videos like that with no problem at all?
To be honest, I do. I think that's bad. I really do think that's bad at 5 years old, and there's a lot of things going around that shouldn't be happening. No, I don't agree with that. Not at all.
So you're here with your young daughter this morning. Yeah. Would you allow her to watch a Rihanna video?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, she's going to see it anyway on the street. Hear bad language on the street, so it don't make no difference. But
you don't think they're too wrong?
I've got to... Just...
What?
I've got to interrupt there.
What's she seen on the street? What street's this?
What street does she live in?
Just let it play, and she'll explain all.
She's sick. Sorry, Kath's just doing...
I'm just doing the Rihanna.
This is a parent with a young child.
If I did that on the street, I'd be put away.
Just let her explain.
Right.
I do come to that point, don't worry.
Thank you.
Raunchy then, these videos. A bit too sexy for young children?
No, because it don't matter where you go, you're going to see this. You see people walking along the street half naked anyway.
Well, I've just spoken to a lady who said to me that any parent who allows their child to watch videos like this is a bad parent. What would you say to that?
I'd say, so what, you're going to say that they're a bad parent walking along the street when someone's half naked walking in front of your kid then. That's what you're seeing. So...
Mind you, when was the last time you saw somebody walking through a shopping centre wearing hot pants and very little else?
Oh, yeah, you want to walk through here in the week. People go shopping like that.
Really?
Oh, yeah, in Luton.
Come on.
I'm not joking. Hot pants, breasts hanging out. You haven't seen it. You need to be in here. You're only in here in the morning.
I've got to interrupt again. We go to Luton Shopping Centre quite a lot.
I've seen some very tight leggings.
I've not seen hot pants and breasts hanging out.
According to her, I'm there in the morning. We go in the morning. We need to go in the afternoon.
All right, let's carry on.
Morning, you want to come in the afternoon.
OK, so you see absolutely nothing wrong with it. Whether you see it on the street or on the TV, it's out there, it's happening. It makes absolutely no difference.
No, it don't.
Claire, again, on the school run this morning with your young children, would you allow them to watch Rihanna videos?
No, because I don't like her. I won't watch them myself, so I won't allow my children to watch them.
What's so wrong with them?
Just don't like her. Simple as that.
Well, it's got nothing to do with the fact that they are a bit too raunchy, not suitable for children. You just don't like her?
No, just don't like her. So I won't watch her videos, so I won't allow my children to watch them.
Well, what is your beef with Rihanna?
There ain't a reason why, I just don't like her.
I don't think she likes the songs.
Lyrically, they're very basic, aren't they?
That was one of the most shocking Voxes I've ever heard, Justin.
Well, do you know what? It's weird you should mention that, because a few other people in the last, I would say, 6 weeks or so, I've been in Luton quite a bit recently, particularly in the shopping centre, and a couple of people have actually come up to me and said that you should do something about this, the fact that people are wearing next to nothing. Yes, we've had a hot summer, but it's not just something that she said. Other people are saying it too.
We've got a tweet, and this is unfair, but I'm just going to read it to highlight some of the tweets we get. Blimey, there are some right thickos in Luton. I think that's harsh.
But she's telling us, all she's doing is telling us what she is seeing. We are not with her at all times. She is telling us what she has seen.
You need to get down there one afternoon, Justin, try and find that girl in hot pants with her breasts hanging out and vox her.
Should be easy to spot. You said there's loads of them.
Well, according to her.
How long have we worked in this town?
Yeah, but again, to go back to the point that she made, she's not talking about the morning, she's talking about the afternoon. So the afternoons, apparently, is where you see people wearing next to nothing going through the shopping centre in Luton. Incredible.
Wow, that's something to look forward to, isn't it?
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's very slow moving at the moment on the Great North Road at the Black Cat roundabout. And in Milton Keynes, getting reports of being very slow moving on Standing Way, just at Steinbeck Crescent due to an accident that's happened there. And the M1, very heavy moving between junction 12 at Flitwick and junction 9 for Redbourne. And getting reports of Lower Luton Road at the moment being closed between Bowerheath Lane and Airport Way due to some flooding there. The M25 heading anti-clockwise is queuing at the moment between junction 19 at Watford and junction 16 for the M40. So far, no reported problems on the trains. Nicola Richards, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Nicola, thank you very much. Some very strong views coming through about paternity leave. I will get to those in a second. 8:47. I'm just being informed I'm going to be pwned on the texts. I doubt it. He's doing it on the text. A coward's way of arguing. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Bedfordshire police say they're still trying to identify a man who approached young children on their way to school. The incidents, which happened earlier this year, featured last night on Channel 4's 24 Hours in Police Custody. The first screening of passengers arriving in the UK for possible symptoms of Ebola will begin at Heathrow this morning. And a family from Welwyn Garden City is calling for clarity in the law after their baby son was born prematurely and had to stay in hospital, meaning the dad ran out of time to take paternity leave. Andy, stay there. We'll come to you in a second. Let's get the weather first with Kate.
Beds, Herts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Good morning. It's a rather damp start across all three counties, actually. We have a little bit of rain around, just some light patchy rain, certainly not as intense as yesterday. It's going to come and go through the course of the day. Still a bit murky out there too, particularly through parts of Buckinghamshire and Hertfordshire, but it is lifting. Low cloud generally, though, not too much in the way of brightness, although we may get a glimmer later on this afternoon. In that case, if we do, it's likely to set off yet another shower. Maximum temperature 16 Celsius. Celsius. Overnight, eventually, the wind will, the showers will die away. Mild night, temperatures only dropping down to around 10 Celsius, but a bit of mist and fog mixed in there. Murky start to Wednesday, gradually lifting into low cloud, bit brighter, and then the heavy rain rise from the southwest. Maximum temperature for Wednesday, 15 Celsius. And that's your forecast.
Every weekday from 3.
Good afternoon, welcome to the show.
Local people.
What's your story?
Seems there's a law for them and then there's one for the press, and I disagree with what they're saying.
Local views.
In some cases, sort of 40% loss in value on their properties.
Has Kelly Luton got it right?
There is a responsibility when you're paid from the public purse.
Local life.
Do you want to know how much my carer's allowance goes up by every April when the tax year changes? £2.
Roberto Peroni.
And is it fair to target people on benefits?
Weekdays from 3. BBC Three Counties Radio.
Go on, who's poning me on the text then?
Well, it's not really poning you, it's poning Justin.
Oh.
He said small companies get to claim over 100% of the paternity pay back, so it costs them nothing. Justin
excuse me?
is wrong, shockingly, says Steve.
Excuse me? Small companies get to claim over 100%.
Yeah.
Well, what does that mean?
It means that and a bit more.
Is that true?
I'm going to say yes.
I bet it takes ages. And they've got to find someone... but that's not where the real cost is. The real cost is the fact that they've got to find somebody else to fill in.
Listen,
so they'll
they've
lose
got 9 months' notice.
No, mate, they'll lose productivity because they've got to find someone else, train them up, get them in, and then get rid of them
It can't be
again.
that hard, or it wouldn't be the system.
Yeah, it's not hard if you're Tesco's or if you're John Lewis or if you're Our Price Records. If you're Steve Smith Carpenters and there are 4 of you, then it's hard.
Yeah, but it's not going to happen that often, is it, if you're Steve Smith Carpenters and there are 4 of you? One of you might have a baby at one point.
Supposing all 3 of your employers have babies.
Because that's going to happen, isn't it?
Mate. Iain, for once I find myself agreeing with you, says Barry Newton. About paternity leave. We already supply help... Oh, this is great. You're going to love this one. You're going to love
Newton
this.
or Jeremy Clarkson? Who is it?
You're going to love this. We already supply help to the new mothers with midwives and health visitors to help new mothers settle in. Why should we have to pay the father as well to get a holiday? If we listen to most women, us men just get in the way.
No, not at all. They're very, very useful. My rock, for heaven's sake, at a time when you're feeling very vulnerable and you are flipping up and down with your hormones, you need your best mate there, for heaven's sake. Kerry from Hemel says, paternity leave, everyone wanted equal opportunities, so as far as I see it, fellas, you got it.
Rogue Leader says, paternity leave discriminates against people without children. And that is a fact.
And there is a man who had 2 weeks off, a week off paternity leave for a puppy.
Yeah, that's
Jonathan
true.
Vernon Smith.
Yeah, but he wouldn't get paid for it. He'd have lost money. He'd have lost money. Fair play, took some holiday. Great, well done. You can do anything you want in your holiday. If he wants to train a dog to do a whoopsie outside, well, then I would suggest that is a waste of holiday. But, you can do what you want. And if you're a dad and your wife's having a baby, brilliant, I wish you all the best of luck. When do you want to book your holiday?
Oh, for heaven's sake.
What? What's the problem with that?
I'm going right off you. Can I drive myself to solve? Sophie Harris on the Facebook says...
Hello.
Mel C standing naked covering herself. This is what someone put on Facebook, didn't they? In response to Mel C moaning about Rihanna. Saying Mel C standing naked covering herself is not the same as vividly simulating what.
You're right, yeah.
And she said that, this is Sophie again, she said she would have disagreed with this idea until she watched music channels with her 8-year-old girl last week. Every female artist's videos were full of ladies writhing and grinding interspersed with close-ups of... and even she commented it was hardly necessary.
Yeah, they're a little bit mucky, those videos.
Well, they're going further and further. I mean, it's not even the videos anymore, is it? If you see a picture of Rihanna out in public, she's barely got any clothes on.
Yeah.
It'd be a shock if she put some big pants on.
08459.
And a jumper.
08459. I like big jumpers. I love a big jumper. What's wrong with a big jumper?
Rihanna, here's a secret. Put a big jumper on.
Can I tell you, this is just a little thing, OK? The sexiest thing a woman can wear? A man's shirt.
Depends which man, though, doesn't it?
Man's
if
shirt
it's Pavarotti's.
with the sleeve... Oh, no, come on, mate. A man's shirt with the sleeves rolled up. Like in the films.
And next week's fashion tip will come from Iain Lee about this time next week.
Richard is in Winslow. Good morning, Richard.
My dear boys, you didn't want to do a tea tip. I thought I would regale you with
a radio of yesteryear back in 1972 on an Adrian Love show.
Oh, Adrian Love, there's a blast from the
was
past,
before,
yeah.
I don't know if he's still alive. This was before they had the 8-second pause thing. And there was
hang on
one
a
of
minute,
these
hang on
programmes
a minute. Are you going to play a clip of someone swearing on a radio show from 42 years ago on my show? OK.
How dare you? So what it was a programme that... you've lost my train of thought. It was reveal your broken heart and then tell them about your long lost love on the radio and all that stuff. And invariably it was women, but on one occasion they had a bloke, and of course it was a man showing his emotion in those days.
Yes.
They gave him extra airtime. There was this bloke going on about his long lost love of 6 weeks, Sharon or Tracy, I can't remember.
Couldn't give a stuff about what I'm saying.
Towards the end, and for the final, I will use a euphemism. He said, I'd just like to say to Sharon that I think she's an absolute merchant banker. And he went out live. Oh, we all fell about laughing. Do you remember that one?
No.
It was so funny. Perhaps you could dig it out and play it.
No. How would I dig out? How would I dig that
in
out?
In the files somewhere.
Well, what station was it on?
Well, in those days, you didn't get that many. It might have been Capital.
See, he doesn't even know. He wants me to track down some audio.
What was that in relation to?
I've got absolutely no idea. He wants me to track down some audio from 42 years ago. Trust me, guys, I'm trying to track down audio from that long ago. It's hard. On a station, he doesn't know what the station was, and he doesn't know what date it was.
Doesn't know what the girl's name was.
Doesn't know anything about it.
Yeah, we'll get that.
Thanks, Rich. Mick's in Watford. Morning, Mick.
Morning.
What you got for us?
Well, I don't very often agree with you, but I'll turn the tables on you a little bit this morning. You mentioned about holidays, that maternity leave should be stopped and they should take it...
No. Paternity leave.
Paternity leave,
yes.
all right.
That's the man.
Well, it's early in the morning for me. I don't get up at 6.
Yeah.
I probably agree with you to a certain extent, but also what I don't agree with you said they could take it as their normal holiday.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think we ought to have holidays. I think for these poor employers, we ought to stop all holidays. We didn't. Why do you deserve a holiday?
Oh,
how many weeks holiday do you have a year?
Oh, mate, I've got 5 weeks a year.
5 weeks?
I don't get paid,
that's disgusting.
I don't get paid.
Well, that's not the point. That don't come into it, because even though you're not there, you're leaving your employer in a terrible state, because he's got to find somebody to replace you.
It's Catherine, so she's just
but
there.
You've got to find somebody.
You're Catherine.
Yeah, but Catherine's busy making the tea. She can't do 2 jobs.
I'm going to bat out of this. Catherine, it's over to you.
No, you're all right.
Oh, Catherine, you know he puts on you all the time.
Oh, he tries.
I've never put anything on her. That is a vicious rumour, and I'm speaking to my solicitors about that.
Well, you can speak to who you like. But what I'm saying is all holidays ought to be stopped. Scrap them, because the employers can't afford to pay people holiday pay.
Mick, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
When was the last time you punched a man? I mean, really punched a man?
I've never punched a man.
I don't believe you. You sound the sort.
Well, I may sound the sort, I may talk the talk, but I've never punched a man.
Do you feel you've missed out on that?
Hold on a minute. If you're good at talking...
Yeah.
You can always... I told my boys when they was younger, if you can talk your way out of a fight, talk your way out of a fight. If you can't talk your way out of it, learn to run fast. You don't get anywhere by punching people.
Do you never feel that you've missed out on punching someone?
No.
OK. Andy's in Letchworth. Morning, Andy.
Good morning, Ian. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. The last minute of the show is yours, sir. What have you got?
Well, I was a photographer for years, and I went round to do a photo shoot around a woman's house.
Oh, yeah.
She had some music on, and this kid is addicted to Rihanna and all this sort of thing.
Oh, yeah.
She said, show the man you're dancing, show the man you're dancing. And I swear this girl was dancing like she was in a strip team. It was ridiculous. She was about 6 years old.
Horrible, isn't it?
It's awful. Absolutely disgusting.
It's weird. What? I don't... Did the mum not kind of, realise that was highly inappropriate?
Well, this is the thing. She seemed to think it was fantastic, and her kid should show this off to a random strange man. And that's where we are now, isn't it? It's almost like these parents want their kids to do everything they weren't allowed to do.
Does she think it was funny? Do you think that's what it was, or do you think it was good?
She thought it was great. She thought she was going to be the next big thing.
Oh, God.
She was sticking out. She was sticking out everything that she didn't have. It was awful.
Andy, listen, we've got to end it there because we're out of time. And that's the problem, is I think lots of mums see that their children doing that as a potential way out of their life, you know, and the X Factor and Rihanna and all of these things, I think, portray that as a possible job opportunity.
Take your high heels off and your pom-poms and read a book, kid.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much indeed.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
In Milton Keynes, very slow moving at the moment on Standing Way between Newport Road and Junction 13 for the M1. In Harpington, still getting reports in of Lower Luton Road being closed between Bower Heath Lane and Airport Way due to some flooding there. And it is queuing at the moment on the A41 heading southbound between the Hemel Hempstead turnoff and Junction 20 for the M25. The M25 itself looking very slow heading clockwise. That's between Junction 15 for the M4 and Junction 16 for the M40 following an accident there. Nicola Richards, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Nicola. That's it, that's your lot. Kath and I are off to Salford to tell people how to do radio. Justin's sitting in tomorrow. We'll be back on Thursday, though, at 6. Until then, from us, ta-ta.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Iain. Good morning. Welcome to the JBS show. I'm Jonathan Vernon-Smith. It's Tuesday. It's 9 o'clock. And on today's Big Phone In, was Judy Finnegan right to apologise for her comments about rape? Judy